Hello, everyone. Welcome in to Tales from the Foxhole, Cthulhu Confidential, a Howling Fog. Hi, everyone. It's good to see you all in chat. How are you all doing? I hope you're doing well this Sunday time period, wherever you are in the universe. I'm so excited for this, and I'm really excited to make this big introduction for who's playing, but I'm going to set it up first. This is Tales of the Foxhole. This is I run RPGs on this stream, and this is one of them. This is from Pelgrane Press. It's get here. It is Cthulhu Confidential, which
Such
is
a gorgeous book.
So good, right?
So good looking, yeah.
And it's nice. And it is made for one GM and one player. So you can have this this really kind of cool, intense experience, which might be really great, especially in the time of the COVID, because, you know, maybe you're just hanging out with one person, you want to do an RPG. And we'll talk about this system a little bit while we're going, but I want to say that this is a horror game. It's noir. It's set in the 30s in New York City. And it's a very cool system. I recommend it. I want to thank Pelgrane Press, but I also want to thank the Patreons. We have a Patreon, and this show is brought to you and supported by the Patreon because I think it's really important when you're doing something like this to pay your cast. I think that's important. And then also anybody else who's doing labor. And so thank you to the Patreons who make this possible. And I am Trooper SJP, and this is my channel. And I'm happy to have you here. And most importantly, back for a second time around, I would like to introduce somebody who's so awesome, who is... So the person I'm going to introduce right now, who you may not know who it is because you can't see them, you can. Their name is right there on the screen, so it's not a surprise. But the person I'm about to introduce is someone who I find such a great RPer. So this person can bring funny, but also is really good at serious characters in ways that you might not expect. I have been so impressed by this player, watching her in, oh my gosh, that Cypher game you were in. What was it called? It was called
for some reason, I'm like, the other system I played starts without numbers. A World Beyond.
World Beyond.
Worlds Beyond.
Worlds Beyond. And your character, who was the glaive, like, you just brought out some of these really amazing emotional moments that was just like, I was like, oh my gosh. And I also really loved watching you play that game. I love the mechanical choices you made. Like, you pressed your luck. You're like, I'm just going to use all of my points, even though it brings me closer to death, because that is who my character is. And it was, so I just adore you as an RPer, and I was so lucky to be able to play with you 1 year ago, actually, right about now, in the first installment of our Vivian Sinclair adventures. That was Fatal Frequency, and now we are back. And so I would like to introduce, please, everybody in chat, give like a big hand love for the amazing Jackie Dash. Tell us about yourself.
Oh my god! Oh my goodness! That was just such a range of compliments. Hi, I'm Jackie Dash. I'm going to spell it just because it's hard, and some people are.
Wait! I gotta get ready.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Okay. My name is Jackie Dash. JAKIDASH. That's great. And any kind of sound effect, just wonders. Tony or Tiny Beeman also just at one point had a death rattle, which was the scariest and possibly loudest thing that would summon me from the room. So I don't know, like, that's a lot of hype, and I want to say thank you for noticing all those little touches in my art. That takes a skilled GM brain. And I'm really excited to be back. Vivian Sinclair is a reporter, and I, as a GM or as a player, like to look for trouble. And I think this is such a game that's gonna jive with that. So I'm really pumped to be back for a second. apart. Because the last one, Vivian survived, of course, with some emotional baggage, perhaps not just one suitcase, but a couple duffels. So we're going to really see how time has passed and if Vivian is over those duffels and has packed them back in her dresser drawers, or if maybe that baggage is just going to open up all over the hotel room.
Oh, I should also note that Jackie Dash is a really awesome GM as well. I'm just noting there's some awesome GM skills also happening. And I know that you've been super busy, but I don't know if you have any projects coming up soon.
Well, I know one for sure. I can actually
that you can tell us about.
Yeah. So we are with Nathan Kiss, our junkie. That's kind of worst. Random Tuesday. We have Shattered Sky, which is a podcast. It's a podcast where all podcasts are found. And if you really liked Worlds Beyond, it uses the same system without the world jumping aspect. And it is about a world that's got this magic layer that's thrown in, shattered the world. And so we have Ozar, which are like monsters and beasts. We have a very, I want to say, powerful as in controlling government system. And I welcome you to come into that world because we have 4 great characters. And if you like the edge that Vivian Sinclair has, the character in that, Pashmina Myron, is the worst. I have funneled all my thoughts of who the worst is in this world, and Pashmina Myron is that character. So I recommend that.
PH notes that actually you're the best, not the worst.
Something just a backhand or like backstage for the Shattered Sky is every once in a while Pashmina will say a line and then I have to pause and say, was that too mean? Do we need to do another one? Because it's all about how bad can the upper class be? And the answer is so bad. Hashtag eat the rich.
Nom 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 nom. So let's start. We'll start talking about it a little bit. So just so you all know, I don't know how many sessions this will take. 2 or 3, I imagine. I imagine 2 or 3. So okay, we are. This is New York. It's New York. It's 1930s. It's the Depression. People are poor. People are out of work, and you also have the mega rich who have a lot of money and who are able to kind of get over these things a little bit. I mean, but all sorts of trouble. And this is also a time where there's sexism and racism, and like it's the 1930s. It's not necessarily the best, but we have a reporter, Vivian Sinclair, who works at the New York Times, and she started off doing not exciting stories. She was a lady reporter, so they sent her to lady reporter things like, why don't you go to this garden party and report which socialite is there and what they're wearing?
Flowers were red.
But I do not think that Vivian Sinclair enjoyed those stories very much.
Well, there's only so much you can do when you are at those parties, but at those parties, there's also a layer of nuance. You start learning where the money is coming from, and you start realizing, oh, let's follow that money. And that kind of led to my first expose and one of those garden parties being a money laundering scheme. And that kind of led to starting to get towards that front page.
Mm-hmm. And at this point in time, how old are you?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm no spring flower.
No.
I think, last time we talked, I was out of marrying range, and I think Vivian Mother at this point has not brought it up. So it's past the point where there's hope, I think.
So you're not married?
No.
Now, the last we saw you in our last last outing, you had a really interesting um, investigative story about a murder, and that led you to finding out this sort of strange device. It was supposed to be kind of like a radio device, but it kind of opened up a spot from another dimension, and kind of weird creatures were coming through. The FBI took most of that away from you, so your story was about a serial killer and not about how that
Things.
things. But I think you never really. You told me you never really forgot that, as I suppose you don't.
I think there is some days where Vivian thinks she forgot about it, and then she'll hear the static of a radio.
Mm,
She doesn't like to go to the docks anymore,
mhm,
so that cuts off a large part of her stories.
mhm.
Um, and it's not to say that like all water isn't bad, but I think there's much like once you know how deep the ocean is, you don't really want to go into it.
That's true. Now, also, before you left, I just want to check in with you on this because I'm curious. I
Mhm.
have a couple of questions. The
Oh,
first one
please.
is after that sort of really distressing thing that happened to you before, you went on vacation with your detective friend, Joseph
Hmm.
O'Connor, who, and you went off to Florida together for about a week because he wasn't having a great time, you weren't having a great time. And I'm just wondering, how are you two doing? I know that you're a little bit complicated and your relationship's a little bit
Yeah.
complicated.
I think there's a lot of waves to this relationship. You know, uh, when there's a really good story, I think Vivian kind of puts it on a back burner, and I think that hurts O'Connor.
Yeah.
And I think similarly, when there's a lot happening at the department,
Mm-hmm.
Vivian also feels weirdly
Mm-hmm.
neglected. And I think it's not like I don't think the relation like I think fairness is a really weird relational concept. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they've realized how to balance each of
Mm-hmm.
their personalities. And I think
Mm-hmm.
some days O'Connor is the one who's sacrificing more. And I think some of the days Vivian's the one who's sacrificing. And not to say neither of them are bad or good people.
Mm-hmm.
I think they just go through, we're going to do it and we're going to make it happen. And then there's the honeymoon period.
Yeah.
And then, they'll get frustrated because maybe there's a flat when they're going
Yeah.
somewhere. And that kind of opens up all the baggage again. I think currently, right now, it's one of those brief and great moments where they're both very busy with work. So when they do see each other, it's great and it's wild and it's fun again. And they talk about work and they spread ideas and then they go their own ways and they're like, oh, I wish we could hang out more. And then they don't, because both of them have their drive is
Yeah.
not in that relational sense.
Yeah, it's interesting because you all keep you both keep coming back to each other, but you're both
Mhm.
very driven by your careers. But there's something interesting there. I'm going to ask you a next follow up question.
Oh,
I,
please.
I remember you were talking about your desk, and your desk. You sort of moved a little bit closer to the window, which is nice. And you had your bulletin board up, right? You had like things up on your desk around your desks, the photographs. In the beginning, it was you talked about it being sort of your first stories, but as your time has continued, it becomes things that you can't explain or don't understand. That kind of red line, and that was before that last session of last adventure. Can I ask how is Vivian when it comes to things like missing persons, the unknown? Um, how are you doing?
I think Vivian is more hesitant even to go into those stories. As much as she'd like to jump into missing people or those strange occurrences, there's a hesitation. If
Mm-hmm.
she starts to sense that it's more than what she thought, she goes back and thinks, did what happened last time? And how she tried to report about it
Yeah.
and how her 3-part expose became a one part story on page 11.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So I think she knows exactly what to write if she needs to. And anything else that doesn't get into the article has a folder and
yeah.
some, the red well when she's feeling strong, when
Mm-hmm.
she's feeling maybe 2 glasses in, she'll look over it. And I think a lot of it's basic. I don't think she's seen anything like what she saw that night.
Yeah. What was the, because I'm curious, what was the last story you did before the one you're currently working on?
Whew. So I think it, to be able to do the one she's doing now, which we'll explain soon, she kind of had to negotiate with her editor, which she's had a very, very. Do you remember that person who Vivian like kind of was an helped the intern that was
Yes.
the young dude that they had a fling really early on, and
Larry.
then yeah, I think he's a new editor.
Ooh.
I think
Ooh.
Larry actually made it, and
Oh.
and so I think
Oh.
Larry is
Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry for you.
Vivian. No, it's fine. I think Larry is Vivian's new editor, and so I think Larry, this is maybe his first year. I don't know actually how much time has passed.
It's been, let's say it's been like 6-7 months.
Okay, so I think this is like maybe month and a half
Yeah.
with Larry, and so Larry's still in the by the books, follows all the rules, does not stray out of line. I think Vivian had to negotiate a puff piece to be able to get
Yeah.
the piece she has now.
Okay, so I'm just going to bring this up. So
Yeah.
Larry Ames, your new editor, is younger than you are.
Yeah.
And
it sucks.
You mentored him when he was a new reporter, and you had a slight fling with him, and he's now your editor. How are you feeling about that? I mean, you're a better reporter than he is.
For sure. I think there's a little bit of Larry has a great golf game. Larry's got. Yeah. I think the other editor moved up, and thankfully took their secretary. And so Larry has a new secretary who's young and fun, and they lock the door all the time. And so I think Vivian uses that kind of relationship Larry has with his secretary as a push pin to get what she needs to. So I don't think Larry likes Vivian. I don't think Vivian likes Larry, but I think they both have enough understanding that they have to work well together because Larry knows how good of a reporter Vivian is.
Yeah. Ooh. Oh gosh.
It is. I would say this is an unpleasant workplace. I would say every other writer takes a lunch when they go into the room. I think there's lots of yelling in these rooms.
Yeah. Oh, so awkward. So awkward. Hey, by the way, I just apologize. I just want to apologize for you being passed over for a promotion after you've done some like really good reporting, including on like a serial killer. That's like a big deal. Like you've done some amazing things, and I'm really sorry you did not get the promotion, but also it's like 1930,
Yeah, no.
So, I mean,
why do you think Vivian's old editor is now an upper editor? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that was.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you did this really great work, which gets your editor promoted, and then gets a reporter who wasn't you promoted into the editor slot. I also imagine
they couldn't lose me as a reporter. They can't lose me. You have to stay here.
Yeah. I also imagine that Larry was probably, how do I put this? It's probably better he's an editor than a reporter. Now, I feel like you should be the editor because come on, but there are no women editors at all. So,
right.
Yeah. So now let's talk about where you're at right now. You have been working a story for a bit. You've not gotten there yet, right? You've not had that moment. And that is, there was like a story you wanted to do on clip joints. Clip joints still exist today. They are sort of illegal, but it's really hard to prove that they're illegal. So let's say a place that's not a clip joint, a regular place. There are places out there, bars, nightclubs, dance clubs that have hostesses that work there, and what you would do is you would go to one of these places, and you'd pay that woman 25 cents or 50 cents, and she'd dance with you. Like, you do a foxtrot or a swing dance, something like that. So like 25 cents, 50 cents a dance. And those are like that's like a regular above board sort of a place where you go there, you pay the woman 25 cents and she dances with you, and that's it. This is not one of those places. This is not a place of prostitution, but it is a place where what happens is clip joints, how they work is that there are women who work for the clip joint, but the people who go there don't know that. They pretend as if they're just women who are at the bar. Maybe they've been stood up and are a little bit lonely. Or these women will go out and find a businessman. They usually get people who are out of town, traveling salesmen, tourists, people who don't really know the place. And they might find some guy out there and say, oh, hey, we're having such a good time. I know a really cool club. Why don't you take me there? And then these women will take these people to this club. And at this club, they will say, why don't you buy me a drink? And why don't you buy me 2 or 3 drinks? And maybe this bar has like a 5-drink minimum. So they buy 1 drink, and all of a sudden at the end of the day, 5 drinks are listed, or 5 bottles. And these drinks are always super overpriced by a lot. A lot. And the women who are working there, their drinks are watered down, so they don't get drunk at all. The guys' drinks are not watered down. It's not good booze. It's cheap booze that you're paying a lot for, so they get a little bit drunk. And this particular bar that you're going to actually be getting into also has an illegal casino, because gambling is illegal. And so then if you're working there, you're going to be maybe encouraging these guys to gamble and lose a lot of money at these tables. And at the end of the evening, you disappear. And the guy's left with a bill that is outrageous. It's an outrageous amount of money that they spent. But they did spend the money, and now they have to pay. And most of these places are owned by the mob, and if they don't pay, well, they're gonna pay, right? So these are places, and I think, Jack Dash, you were talking about a place that was in Manhattan, you said?
Yeah, so I guess there was a place recently as 2007 in Manhattan that had bottle service minimum. So they got a nice bottle of vodka for $3.50, but they didn't know that the minimum was 3 bottles.
Yeah.
So they paid $1,000 charge. The bouncers pulled them back. It was a rough, sticky wicket. And
yeah, like you go to a bar, you think you have a good night out, and at the end of the night, you owe them $1,000, and you can't not pay them the $1,000.
Right.
Yes. So there is a clip joint that has just opened up in Harlem called the Fantasia Lounge. And Vivian Sinclair has been trying to sort of get an in on this place for a little bit of time so she can go undercover to do a story on clip joints. And she met a young woman named Peaches LaFleur, who is probably 17, who has been working at this one place, the Fantasia Lounge, which is in Harlem. And there have been no openings at all at this lounge. But last night she called Vivian Sinclair and said, somebody didn't show up for work today. I got you in. You're in. And I'm going to ask you a couple of questions before we start. Question 1.
Okay.
How do you know Peaches LaFleur? She's like 17. Peaches LaFleur is not her real name. She is bright. This joint has not been open very long, so she's probably only been working there herself for like maybe 3 months. This place is about 6 months. It's new, about 6 months old. And she's probably only been working there for 2 or 3 months herself. She's quite naive. She still thinks this is somewhat exciting.
Above the bar.
Yeah. I mean, she still thinks it's somewhat exciting. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of an exciting thing. She is like, her makeup skills are not there yet.
Oof.
Right? Like, she's 17. Like,
the bar's dark. It's fine.
Yeah. I mean, she's excited, but how did you meet her? How did you how did this happen?
Yeah, so I think what happened is newsies were a thing around the 1930s.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Peaches actually used to be a newsie,
Mm-hmm.
and then she old, she's getting a little bit older.
Mm-hmm.
She might have, I think there was some problems with younger reporters and her. And when I say problems, I mean they were being not so kind and Vivian wasn't having it.
Yeah.
So I think that's how Peaches kind of learned like Vivian was like, this ain't happening here. This ain't it, Chief. So I think Peaches also I think that's also why Vivian didn't get the editor spot, is that she's like, this is not going to keep happening on my watch.
So
and
you caused some trouble with some of the people who are working as newspaper
right,
as newsies. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and so Peaches kind of decided to leave the newsy industry, but Vivian was like, hey, find your wings, just do it quick, because money.
Yeah.
And so I think Peaches found this place, and Vivian has learned about it and was curious, and I think Peaches knows Vivian is curious, and it's kind of like a favor for way back then.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a piece of information and ask you a question.
Okay.
One. So it sounds to me like she knows you as Vivian she also knew you as Vivian. So then you would know that her name is actually Maggie Rodriguez. That's her actual name.
Okay.
She goes by Peaches LaFleur at this, fancy lounge. And then I'm going to ask you, what name are you going by in your undercover role as this new clip joint girl?
Betty.
Mm-hmm.
And do I want? I'm usually a big fan of alliteration, so Betty Bossum.
Betty Botson. And what did you do? What have you done to? What is your disguise? How have you made yourself seem different? Are you going for a younger look, an older look? What is your persona as Betty Botson?
The glasses are key.
You wear glasses, people have no idea.
No, it's understandably. Heavier eyeshadow. I think chewing gum constantly. I wish I brought my gum with me. It's over there. I'll get it later. It's hard too. Chewing gum. I think she usually Vivian wears reporter garb. I think she goes sleeveless, which is some people's thing.
Saucy. A little
saucy. A little saucy. I think she's still tasteful, and when I don't, whatever your definition of tasteful, because I think Vivian's like, wear what you want to wear. That's not why I hate you.
For the audience who may not know this, Vivian Sinclair's a little judgy. That's all.
A little judgy.
A little judgy.
And I think Vivian gets oddly competitive at this. Not that like she doesn't want other people to do what they need to do, because we do get some off the top. But I think she's, I don't know how long she's worked it, and this is my first night, so she doesn't have that.
First night.
But I think Betty is going to be a little bit competitive. I think when she sees there's a group, maybe there's one guy and there's a couple of hostesses, Betty's gonna get in there.
And maybe I imagine probably you have been to other clip joints, right? So seeing what they're like, investigating, like checking them out. So you kind of get a sense, and you've not been to this place yet, but you're on your way there. And I'm going to ask you another question. Okay. You know that these bars basically prey on out-of-towners and tourists. That's what they do. You also know that this club is in Harlem. It's only a couple of blocks away from the very famous Cotton Club, the huge nightclub, which has like big stars like Cab Calloway playing, and currently Adelaide Hall is this jazz singer, and it's like this big place. Harlem, you also know, is kind of complicated in this moment. It's a 3/4 black neighborhood, and the other quarter are sort of poor white ethnic, so like Italians, Irish, and Jews are sort of it. Like that's like 1/4 of the neighborhood. And there is, I suppose, the question I want to ask, and now this is also a thing that you would know. You're not a sprint. You know things. Yeah. This place is clearly run by the Italian mob. That is
Sure.
just a thing. That is a clear thing. First off, all of these joints are basically mob run joints. It's sort of what they do post Prohibition. This is an Italian mob place. You would know from your Streetwise that Harlem was not an Italian mob neighborhood. It was mostly Irish mob and also some African American mob, but the Irish mobsters sort of pushed out the African American mob, and it was mostly like an Irish mob place. The Cotton Club is run, and you would know this because this guy's sort of famous. Oni Madden is the owner of the Cotton Club. It was actually owned by a black boxer who actually started the club, and then Oni Madden convinced him to sell the club to him many years ago, and now he owns the club, so he's this sort of Irish mobster. But the presence of this Italian mob joint in Harlem is maybe not... I bet the Irish mob wouldn't be happy about it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. This might be a good place to find rats. It's what this sounds like.
Yes. So let me ask you this question. You know that this is an Italian mob place, and you actually have an Italian mob contact, Marty the Mouth.
Oh, that's right.
Who was this? He worked for a loan shark that worked for Lucky Luciano, who's the head of the Italian mob. And because at this point in time, they're the 5 mafia families. They each have a different area in New York, and Lucky Luciano sort of changed organized crime by actually bringing them all together under one organization. So like there's a council, and they're not allowed to just murder each other without getting permission. And like it's like he's really making the mob like this big massive thing. Like he's moving everywhere. He's just like moving all over the place. And one of his people, Marty the Mouth, who you first met when you hit him in the head with your purse, which had a brick in it, and got some respect from him, and you saved his life, right? Like he was involved in this thing, and you saved his life, and he owes you a favor, and he will, he has respect for you.
Didn't I also give him $200, or did
You did.
Okay, because to pay off the
debt.
Yeah.
Because there was a debt, but the person who owed it was dead. So
yeah. Don't say I never did nothing.
Right, and you paid off that debt. And this was, so you have this sort of mob connection who you've not talked to about this at this point in time because he doesn't seem to be related. This is not his place. But you have a mob contact, an Italian mob contact. You are now going to get into this club tonight. You've done some research. You kind of get a sense about it. You know that this is a place that takes advantage of tourists and out-of-towners. You also know it's a place, at least from Peaches, who's like a 17-year-old in this bar. It's also a place where women in the middle of the Depression can go and get work. Now, what do they get paid? They get paid 5% of whatever the mark spends. So the more they can get the mark to spend money, the more money they will make. And it is at least some kind of income. But it is, if you want to think about it, it is a form of sex work. Like, you're not having sex with these guys, but you're flirting with them. You are, you know what I mean? Like, you're dancing with them. This is what this kind of job is. So I want to ask you, what kind of angle is Vivian thinking about? She hasn't gotten in there yet, but what kind of angle is she thinking about for this story?
For the story specifically, I think it's more of a, you don't want to make the mob angry. Mm-hmm. Vivian lives in this city. She does not want to make them angry. Mm-hmm. So instead, she's working more of a, hey, local women, keep your boys on a leash kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So more of a, make sure you don't let your man go into this area, which I think helps that I'm a female reporter. Mm-hmm. I'm speaking to my call. Mm-hmm. There's no way I'm going to get a column. Mm-hmm. I don't think Vivian wants a column, but I think the editor likes the spin that I'm a woman writing to other women.
Mm-hmm. So it's sort of an expose, but sort of framed as in, ladies.
Yes. More of like, hey, don't let your man be a victim. Let other men be a victim. So I'm not going to mention who runs the bars. I think I'm not going to state what the location is. I think I am more saying here are some signs that your man is out in one of these places.
Okay, I love it.
Yeah.
So
gotta make everyone happy.
Gotta make everyone happy. So let's start with your first night. It's your first night. All you know is that one of the other women who worked there didn't show up for work last night, and they need someone. Right. And Peaches, and you see her. She is wearing a nice, like, because this is a nightclub, so you want to dress nice.
Yeah.
And she's wearing a dress that's black. It's a sort of like a black sort of evening dress with sort of red roses on it.
Beautiful.
It's a little too big for her. And it is maybe a year or two out of fashion. If you don't know fashion very well, you probably wouldn't think about it. You know what I mean? Like if you aren't keeping up on fashion, you wouldn't know. But unfortunately for you, you sometimes have to do those stories.
Yeah.
So,
I know.
So you know. It looks to you like maybe she got this dress from her older sister, right? Like maybe it's a hand-me-down. But it's nice. It looks good. It's maybe a little too bright, little ill-fitting, but she looks great. She's got her hat on. She's got her makeup. Her perfume's a little too heavy. Like she hasn't quite yet learned.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like how to put on perfume in a way that's not gonna be a little bit too overbearing. The makeup's just a little, like her nails, she's done her nails, she painted them, but her painting nail skills are not like, they're just a little messy. Do you know what I mean? Like she's just a little messy, but she's trying hard.
Can I state that maybe she doesn't know what her thing is yet? Yeah. So she's putting on what she's seen other women do because that's what she thinks works when she really got to figure out what she does. Yeah. Okay, I 100% get this.
That is totally where she's at. And it's very clear that she's trying to do a kind of a glamour, but you also knew her when she was a newsie. And she was just like, wearing her trousers and her vest and the thing, and she was, kind of a little bit of a tomboy, throwing out papers, and now she's trying to do this glamorous thing, but it's clearly not yet her thing. She's trying. And she takes you to this club. And there's this, it's got this... red awning and neon lights, and in this sort of curling neon lights in front of this red awning it says Fantasia Lounge. Now the lounge itself is right there on the street. There's a sidewalk. If you think about the street you're on, it's like the street. Now I just want to let you know to sort of think about this. This is not a great neighborhood, right? Like this is like a working class neighborhood. It's not a wealthy neighborhood. It is a place with a lot of working class people, right? So of different sorts. And when you arrive, it's sort of still early in the evening. It's not like the bar's not technically open yet. But as you look about the street upon you, you can see there are a lot of these sort of 5-story apartment blocks, sort of tenement blocks, sort of like the dark brick 5-story apartments that are all over New York. So there are a number of them in this neighborhood. So there are all these sort of apartment buildings, and then there's you've got kids. You might notice there's like gonna be like 3 kids that are, how old are these kids? One's probably like 12, one's probably like 14 or 15, and they are just like hanging out on the corner. They're sort of playing like kick the can maybe, but they also are just sort of loitering, right? So like they're just hanging out. People are moving back and forth. You don't generally see a lot of people by themselves. People are in sort of groups a little bit. Not that it's a dangerous neighborhood. It's just that, people sort of hang out in groups. And there is an alley on the side of this lounge, a couple of side streets here and there. A lot of these buildings will have sort of alleys so you can get to like fire escapes or that sort of thing. And when you walk up to the front of this beautiful, well, I'm saying it's a beautiful bar, but that's actually a lie. It's not that beautiful of a bar. Like, you're not, like, this is not that, like, the paint job is nice, but it is not, you know what I'm trying to tell you is this is not an
Was it
expensive.
once nice and now they bought the space and they're not pouring money into the outside of the building, so you can be like, this would have been great, but it's not yet into that whole like, look at this great architecture.
Yeah, no. And it's not like a dive because they've clearly tried to patch it up some so it doesn't look off-putting, but clearly they're not spending a lot of money on this bar because that's not what they do, right? And Peaches, who's very excited for your first day at work, and she's so excited to like show you everything, she doesn't take you through the front door.
Okay.
She takes you down the side alley. And in the back, there is a door which she opens up. And when you walk in this door, it's what you are confronted with is a hallway. And she takes you in this hallway. And when you walk in the hallway, it's sort of dark, right? It's not like super, super well lit. There are a couple of lights. It's fine. But when you walk in, the first thing you notice, okay, I'm going to describe this to you, but the problem is that I'm seeing it from the front, so I need to turn my mind around so I can get the left and right correctly. So when you walk in, I want to turn my body around because this is my spatial reasoning is
Yeah,
a little wild.
You're doing great.
On the right, there's a door to a kitchen. You can see there's like a little kitchen on the right. And to the left, there's a stairway that goes upstairs to a second floor. And you can see there are two doors up there. Like she's just kind of leading you in and you can kind of just glance. There are two doors up there. One looks like has office and the other says private on it. But there's not much else up there. So this is not that huge, this little area. And she walks you down the hallway into a door. There's a door that says dressing room. And she opens you up into this dressing room. And when you walk in, what you see is two lines of, like, there are these long tables with mirrors in front of them. And there's these kind of yellow lights that sort of flicker just a little bit that might remind you of other flickering lights. I'm sure it's fine. And there are, it's fine. There are about 7 women in here. There's also a door at the other end of this dressing room that's marked private. And in this room, you see about 7 women. You see, and Peaches is bringing you in, you see these 2 women. They are early 30s, or early 20s, pardon me. And they are sitting together, very close. They've got their stuff together. And they seem to have the same, they have like the best spot. You know what I mean? Like they're like close to the, yeah, they're close to the door. And they are, how do I put this? You can tell already they are thick as thieves. They are sitting next to each other. They're kikiing, they're laughing, they're tittering with each other. They're chatting all the time. They look amazing. They look great.
Yeah, okay.
They've got like amazing outfits. Their hair's done. They are, and everybody seems to give them a little bit of space, right? They're just like in their spot. You see this other woman there. She's like maybe 18 or so. And she looks, happy birthday, Kira. Happy birthday. She looks, how do I put this? She looks like a movie star, but not her face. Just her persona. She looks like she's wearing like a dramatic hat, you know, and like she's got like a cigarette holder, and she's got like this kind of like dramatic coat, and she's like lounging in this sort of dramatic way, and she's like looking at herself in the mirror, sort of checking her lounge. But it's all a little bit weird in the sense that, how do I put this? It's very stagey, right? She looks like she's acting, right? And so,
she's putting on a role. I totally get it. Everything, like, got it. This gimmick is working.
Yes. And then there's like another woman who's like maybe early 20s, and she's like fashionably plump. She looks a little bit like a bombshell. But she doesn't look particularly happy. She looks a little nervous. And you notice that she has this like locket that she wears, and she like opens it up and she looks in the locket and then she puts it back. And this is this thing that she kind of does nervously, regularly. You know what I mean? Like it's a kind of a thing that she does. And there are a couple of other people who are here and there. And you can hear on the other side of the door where it's marked private, you can hear a band playing and a singer singing. It's big band jazz. The singer who's singing is, I would say, your assessment, because you've been to nice places.
Yeah, comfortable taking places.
Yeah. The band is not bad. She's a better singer than the band is a band.
Okay.
But as a singer, she's not a star, at least from just hearing her on the other side of a door, right? Like, I mean, she's good, right? But she's not world famous, right? So
Right.
your sense just from hearing on the other side of the door is that this place is serviceable and good, right? But maybe not all of that. And so
You don't go to this place for the music.
No.
It's a great side pitch.
Yes. But she's a better singer than this bar. And she could probably be at a better place. Like, just hearing her sing, like, you'd have to see what her stage persona is like. She could probably be at a better place than this place.
Mafia's got it.
Whoever this singer is, she could probably do something better. And so Peaches walks you in, and she's so excited. She's like, Betty, I think this will be really great. And she pulls you in, and she waves to everyone. And she's like, hey, everyone, this is my friend, Betty. She's the new girl who's going to be working here. And I'm so excited for you all to meet her. And she like leads you in, and she looks around, and she just like kind of points to one of these spots at the table. And everybody looks at you to sort of see what you're about.
Yeah. I think that Betty goes in and finds her spot, sets her bag down, kind of, and when she does, I think she purposefully drops it when the bag is about 1.5 feet above the table. It's got a brick. So when it drops, I think it slams on the table and the waves throughout the table. And then she sits on the actual table looking at everyone. She does not need to check her makeup. Vivian knows what she looks like. She went heavy lipstick, rouge, is a little bit older than everyone in here, and is acting like the big stuff. No, I don't think she's calling everyone out, but I think she's like, I've got my place in here. Don't fight me.
Mm-hmm. Give me 1 second for one moment. Hey, chat. No, Vivian Krellin asks. Vivian is in her early 30s.
Yeah, still older than everyone else in the room for sure.
Yeah.
Past marrying age for sure.
Yeah.
But still, I think she's finally getting to the point where she realized that maybe she shouldn't get a slice of pie with every cup of coffee. I think more so because it upsets her stomach.
Mm-hmm. If you don't mind, I just want to check our frame rate at the moment. Let's see.
Yeah.
Yes. Let me just see where we're at. If you don't mind me checking. Chat, how are we going? Are we good right now? I want to make sure that we are good. I'm gonna turn off low latency to make sure we're fine, because there was a little bit of a, it felt like there was a little bit of a buffering in there. Chat, how are we doing? I want to check in with you.
I like to think that Vivian is basically dead in her mother's eyes, because remember, Vivian has a sister who has a family.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
No doubt they go to this country fair every year,
Mm-hmm.
and every year they get 6 wrapped up gifts from Vivian and an apology note that she wasn't able to make it.
Mm-hmm.
But then she comes in like February on the specific Valentine's Day weekend. She sees her family and she'll spend a week there and come back.
So, yeah, Vivian's the cool aunt. And I'm going to note one thing about, because everybody looks at you when you drop this purse. Mm-hmm. The woman who was posing in the corner, she reminds you of your best friend roommate who died under mysterious circumstances.
Right. The dancer, the Broadway. Yeah.
Yeah, the Broadway dancer. Because you had this roommate who was your very good friend who wanted to be a Broadway star. And she died under kind of mysterious circumstances.
Broken heart.
Yeah. And this woman reminds you of her a little bit. There's something about the way she sits and moves and poses that reminds you of her. There's something about the way it's like it's a little thing. Like when you dropped it, it was this little thing that you caught only because of the fact that this was your best friend and you had lived with her for so long. This woman that you don't know her name yet, when she moved, she sort of made this gesture, but she made her gesture with what would be the upstage hand, right? In the way that you do in theater, that you never gesture in a way that will cover your body. You always gesture. And like, it's that little thing you're like, oh, that was, this was like my roommate. And like, she's clearly a theater person. And the two alpha women sort of see you.
Let's call them that.
We'll just call them that. And they just kind of turn their back like they're not going to pay attention to you at all. But the other women look at you and they're like, oh. And the posing woman, she sees you and she says, oh, enchanté. It is so nice to meet you. My name is... And then she thinks for 1 second. Maybe 1 second, a little bit too long. Vera. My name is Vera. I am from Paris, and I am here only visiting in New York for a brief time. And it is so nice to meet you, enchanté, she says, and she puts out her hand.
I think, you know what? I think Vivian can play the game. I think Vivian used to be a not very excitable scene partner for both her current roommate and her last roommate. And it's just like, oh, Vera, the pleasure is all mine. And like, I don't know how racy this is, like how scandalous this is, but I think she kisses the hand.
Mm-hmm.
Just to play up this, to be like, I can one and, I can yes and.
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing. It is racy, but also she shouldn't have offered her hand like that. It seems like this is like part of her persona, and you do, and she's tickled, right? She's like, oh, and like everyone else is, and you can see the two alpha girls, one of them like rolls their eyes, not necessarily at you, but clearly at Vera.
Yeah, no, Vera's Vera is acting when there's no audience.
Yes.
I totally get that.
Yes. And so she smiles and she's like, oh, it is so nice to meet you. I'm so happy that you are our new woman. And her French accent's a little bit iffy, right?
That's fine.
Yeah. I'm so happy that you are the new girl. We are very much family here, and it is so nice to have you here. And I'm there, and that's it. And she points. That's Shirley, and she points to the woman who sort of is a little bit nervous. Shirley is brand new here as well. You have replaced one of the women who have left, and Ellie. And Ellie Newson, she just did not show up for work. And Shirley, she's only been here also for about a week. She's replacing a woman named Angela Millefiore, who also was also left a bit sort of abruptly in this work. So we have so you two are the new girls in the place. That over there, you should know. This is Lulu and Dixie, and they don't even look. They are how do you say? They have been here the longest out of all of us. It was Lulu, Dixie, and Ellie was the three oldest. And when she says oldest, Lulu and Dixie just look over with like a little bit of a death stare on that word. And she's like, no, I did not mean old. They're not old. I meant they have been here the longest. So welcome you, please. Welcome into to our family.
Charmed, as always, very charmed to be welcome. I love the work. Actually, is there another clip joint that I could reference in this kind of like, because Vivian knows she's done other reporting. Mm-hmm. Is there one that maybe has a bit of a reputation for being some bigger clients?
Yeah. This is going to be the Golden Chandelier is a place that's like just like 2 steps up, right? It's like it's a nicer place. It's got it is a clip joint, but the band is better. People will sometimes come actually, right,
to enjoy it. I think she's like, I want to do my friend Peaches a favor. I work the Grand Chandelier, but I'm going to be here for a couple weeks just to help Peaches out, show her the ropes a little bit because Peaches is going to be big. I think she's even bigger than this place. Who would stay here for that long?
and Vera's like, oh, the Golden Chandelier, that is very impressive. And Lulu and Dixie, they hear you because they are listening. They may not be looking at you, but they are listening. And they, like, you see them stiffen a little bit, and there's clearly, like, they heard you. They heard you.
Yeah.
Oh, they
I
did.
I don't think Vivian's making good choices. I think Vivian is being the person she is.
And one of them turns to you. You don't know if it's Lulu or Dixie. Turns to you, and she goes, new girl, you said you worked at the Golden Chandelier?
Yeah,
It's a nice place.
I like it. It's a good line of work. It means I can take vacations when I need it.
Oh, you can take vacations.
Yeah. What do you think I'm doing here?
And Lulu looks at Dixie. And Dixie looks at Lulu. Dixie doesn't say much. She's kind of quiet. Lulu looks and she's like, she leans in. She says, oh yeah? If you're that good, tell me, how many guys can you juggle at the same time without even knowing that you're juggling 2 guys or 3 guys at the same time? How many guys can you juggle? I juggle 3. I can do 3 all at once. 3 guys here in the joint, they don't even realize. How many can you do?
I think there's a pause, and I think Vivian is like, why would you juggle when you find the best mark?
The more men, the more money.
Ooh. I see you like to fish for smaller fish, I see.
And then, like, you can see Lulu, like, and, like, Dixie's looking, and there's clearly this, like, who is this? What is going on? And, like, and also, you notice just a little bit of uncertainty. Like, you had rattled them. Like, they were like, oh, whatever. But the minute you said that, all of a sudden you can see, like, tick, 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 like, oh, wait, is that true? And, like, there's this, like...
Because how would you know? Like, different techniques. And here's the thing, I don't think Lulu's bad. Like, I think Vivian knows she's going to lose to Lulu. But I think by doing this, she's going to stir that pot. She's going to get the best story out of this.
And, like, you can see that you have just sort of, like, poked them. Hello, user error. Hello, Raiders. Welcome in, Manapot Studios Raiders. Welcome in. You have rattled them just a little bit because they felt like basically they clearly are better than everyone else in this room.
Oh, I mean.
And now you seem good in a way that is a little like, oh, And so Lulu, she's assessing you a little bit. And she goes, look, I'm going to tell you something, new girl, Betty.
Betty.
We're a family here, right? So here are the rules. We don't take each other's marks.
Okay.
That's one of the rules. If the mark is interested in you and not me, or me and not you, no hard feelings. That's just how it happens.
Totally fair.
We don't steal, but if they come, it is what it is. All right. And tell you some other things. Because, like, now Lulu is sort of, like, taking charge of the room.
Sure. Reestablishing.
Yes, her authority. And Dixie is clearly her lieutenant, who just sort of backs her up and kind of just nods as if this sort of air of nodding will sort of get everybody to agree. And she says, all right, I'm going to tell you a couple things since you knew when you were on vacation. Nobody asks too many questions about anybody's personal life at a place like this. You got me? Like, what you do on your personal time, I don't care, I don't know. Who you date, who you see, whether or not you got kids or don't got kids. And when she says that, the woman with the locket
has kids. Yeah, no, we got this.
She reacts, right, in this way. And she's like, we don't care, we don't know, we're just here to do a job, right? And look, I'm going to tell you something. This is really important because I don't know how you do it, the Golden Chandelier. I don't know, but I'm going to tell you something. We take care of our own here. And as you look, and she's like gesturing with her hands, you can see that she's got like, her knuckles are not delicate, right? And you can see as she's in this beautiful gown that she's got some shoulder definition. She looks a little like, and like her arm, she's got some muscles to her, right? And she is delicate and sweet, but you, as she's talking to you, you're like, oh, she can punch somebody out. Like there's just a
Lulu's gotten the at this height because she's taken care of somebody and that's gotten around. Like I think Vivian has some mad respect now. Like,
yes.
like I think Vivian's gonna probably back down her game down a little bit because like, all right, this is not just the mean girls at the table wearing pink. This is no, we protect.
Yeah.
I'm the big hen.
Yes. And you get that sense. And also I will say that they're clearly early 30s, but this is also a hard job. So they look experienced, right? In their eyes, there's a kind of a they've seen a lot clearly, and they've probably seen more than a lot of people here. And Lulu says to you, she's like, look, I'm gonna tell you something. This is really important. Some of the guys here, I don't know what your clientele's like in the Golden Chandelier. I hear they're pretty nice, but some of our guys sometimes aren't the nicest. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna tell you something. If anybody gives you any kind of trouble, anything, you let us know. And I'm gonna tell you before that, we got guys out there. All the bouncers, Sal's gonna introduce you to all of them, I know it, right? But all those bouncers, they're like, 5 or 6 guys that are out there. They're all pretty good. There's one guy, Little Mo, he's not so great. I think he's on, I think he's distracted with, and she kind of looks around and then she like hits her arm. I think he's a little bit distracted, So I wouldn't necessarily rely on Little Mo, but everybody else, the good guys, all you gotta do when you're about to take a powder, right? You want to take a powder, you're done with your mark, you give them the eye. You give them the eye, you give them a nod, and they'll know. You say you get up, go take a powder, and you go through that door, and she sort of points to the door that says private. And you go in there, you don't have to come back out, you can stay in here. No matter what happens with that moth, they start yelling, they start screaming, they start wanting to get into a fight, they want to know where you are, any of that kind of stuff. Those guys will keep them out. You stay in there and you stay in here until those guys come back in and say, all's clear, you can come back out and get a new moth, right? We're taken care of, they're going to make sure there's no trouble. And when she says that, Vera goes, oh, well, I don't know, there was that trouble just a few days ago, so I don't know about that at all. And Lulu looks and she goes, yeah, that twerp, he may be like lurking about, but he's not after us anyway, right? He's after Ellie and she's gone. She left, so we don't have to worry about him. And like Vera goes, yes, but that man gives me the creeps. He's a creepy man. I don't like him hanging out here about the place. I don't like it at all. And Peaches nods as if she also gets this sense that there's like somebody kind of creepy. And Lulu goes, look, the guy's a twerp. Look out for a guy. He's not been in the club ever since Ellie left, though, right? He's been hanging out outside, but he's not come inside way. But you'll know him. He's like really skinny, like real skinny. He wears these glasses. He's got like a weird vibe about him. He was one of Ellie's dates, but it didn't work out well. Like he was real mad when he looked at the bill. Got into a fist fight with the bouncers. That did not work out well for him because they kicked him out. You know what I mean? Like they threw him out on his butt. But he keeps. I saw him last night, just watching the club. Like he was just outside, like watching, looking for Ellie. But she's gone. She's not been in like since the other day. So I don't know what he's looking for because she's not here. But Voidsburgers played by Crispin Glover. Yes, played by Crispin Glover. So he's kind of creepy, you know what I mean? But like, he's not really bothered the rest of us. But here's the thing, I'll tell you what. Listen, if you want, some of the bouncers will walk you to the subway. They'll walk you to the subway if you want. We did that for Ellie. If they won't do it, I'll do it. I'll give you a walk back to the subway if you need anything. Because we're not going to let any of our girls get in trouble here. You know what I mean?
Lulu, thank you so much for reassuring me. This place seems like a dream come true.
It's a good place.
Yeah,
it's not bad.
I'm gonna bring some of these tips back to the Golden Chandelier. This is This like I'm trying to
Yeah.
flatter
Yeah.
Lulu a little bit because
Mhm.
I think that actually like personally that's rad. Like protect your own. Like
Yeah. And you flatter her, right?
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then after this flattery, she pauses. And Dixie kind of just gives a nod to her and she turns back to you. She says, okay, all right. All right, I'll give you some tips.
Yeah. Gotta put this in my mental notes for my article.
And she says, first off, no funny business. Sal doesn't like it. Sal's fired girls who took men home with them. You know what I mean? So none of that in this place because that's too much heat. That kind of stuff happens, the police come in, right? So none of that. All, you know what I mean? Okay. So
Yeah.
I think you understand what I'm saying. None of that. It's not good. And we girls don't like it because if one girl starts taking men home with them, then all of a sudden everybody expects all of us to take men home with them, and that's not what we're about. So none of that. That's my first tip. My second tip is you could probably look. We got a casino in the back. And you know that's super illegal, and you also know the mayor's
Yeah.
been sort of like cracking down on gambling. So, right? And it's a little bit easier to catch marks. The gambling table is out front. It's just a little bit easier because they like, the ladies to blow on the dice and all that sort of thing. But now, sometimes it's competition, sometimes there's not enough fellas, and it might be some women, and she kind of just like nods to Vera. Some women like
Mhm.
go out on their own and like bring guys in. And if you bring in a guy, that's your mark and that's yours. But sometimes it's a little bit more difficult to bring them in because you got to convince them to come to this place. And so sometimes it's easy to stick around here. It's the marks aren't bad. We get people coming in. It's
Yeah.
Harlem. We got tourists who are excited about like seeing jazz and whatever. So it's not that bad. And then she looks you up and down from head to toe.
Sure.
And she leans in a little bit, looking at your eyes. And she's clearly checking out your look.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, how old are you? 31, 32?
I'm no spring chicken.
She nods. And when she says that, there's no sense of her trying to like shade you or any way. Like she's just assessing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then she says, that might work. That might work for you. Ellie, the one you're replacing, who just like didn't come back to work. She and like Dixie has a kind of a look in her eye, as if there might be a little bit more to that story.
I think so. I think so.
And she says she was like maybe mid-30s.
Okay.
Ellie, but let me tell you something. She did really well for herself, being mid-30s. A lot of the younger guys like older women. I mean, like lots of guys like us, sort of like pointed to her and Dixie. But there are a lot of guys who like the sort of the older type, and you're wearing glasses. That's pretty good. There's a spot for you, and since she's gone, I think you could pretty easily fit in that space of like the mysterious older woman with experience and whatnot.
I got lots of stories and lots of experiences.
Oh,
So that'll work for me.
okay. Um, hmm. Yeah. And like they're clearly sort of thinking about this woman who left yesterday or who didn't show up yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
thinking about her, and they're just like thinking about it a little bit, and they are thinking about like you can see they're trying to figure out how they're going to slot you into their routine, and it seems to you that they feel like you're going to be okay, like you're in a different slot than they are, so they don't think you're a threat, and they think it's probably good that you're there. Like you get this sort of sense that they are.
I fit in.
Yeah,
I
you
fit in. I'm not going to destroy everything. I might bring more people in here, but maybe that will be more to their clientele. Like, I'm not a threat. Everything's cool. And Vivian's going to use that to pump some information now. Because now there's like turbines are firing,
Mm-hmm.
missing women.
Mm-hmm.
This seems like not a serial killer because, there's none of those anymore in New York.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it does seem to be that if there's missing people, there's usually a story, but not jellyfish.
Nope. Nope.
not jellyfish.
Mm-mm.
And I think she's just going to be like, thank you so much for inviting me into your space. I jive in here. I feel it. I'm really excited to get out there. And um, turnover seems to be a little bit. I mean, you're saying that there was Angela a week before that, and
Mm.
Ellie. Um, is that Mark that was going after Ellie? I don't have to worry about getting my own fan club, right? I know you have some safety precautions, but
And they're like thinking about it, and Lulu's like, yeah, I mean, look, Ellie was sort of special. I mean, she didn't hang out with us. She was pretty aloof. And when she says she didn't hang out with us, you see Dixie respond um, like a this kind of eye roll,
ooh,
like she didn't hang out with us, but she was hanging like there was kind of like there was some kind of like there's some kind of thing with, and it wasn't just like, oh, we think that she's too good for us, but there's something else there in that moment when Dixie just sort of rolls her eyes in a kind of a clearly a judgy way, right? There's some kind of
yeah.
like something, and some of the other girls kind of like avert their eyes with that moment. There's something that was happening there, and she's like, well, she didn't hang out with us, says Lulu, but you know, she and Shirley, the who's also just arrived, she's not been here long either. She's like, well, I mean, she said that her husband died, so and so she just had to, you know, look out for herself. Maybe she got a boyfriend or a fiance. I mean, I hear that sometimes you can do a job like this, and maybe you can find, you know, someone who you really hit off with, and maybe you'll find the love of your life and get married. And and like nobody else in the room, like that look that you have is the look like that Lulu and Shirley have, and they're like, Lulu and Dixie, and they're like, oh, and she's like, I'm Shirley, by the way.
Shirley, you just seem like a doll. Pleasure meeting you. I hope to work well with you.
Yeah, I mean, so Ellie's husband died, and maybe she found someone else. I mean, yeah, I mean that's possible.
Yeah, love that you're a dreamer. Love that you reach for those stars. Um,
And and Shirley's like, I didn't know her well, so I just came in to replace Angela. And like, there's a kind of a slightly weird vibe in the room, bringing up Angela and Ellie, because these are two women who just didn't show up for work anymore, and like these two new women, you and Shirley, have shown up, and there's a kind of just like especially with Lulu and Dixie are kind of mama hens about these things. Like it doesn't feel good when people just don't show up for work, right?
and I mean, no one wants this to be a dangerous place. So everyone's kind of thinking like, is it going to be me next? How much do I have to be worried? Can't really get another job. So I think
Mm-hmm.
Vivian's going to take this and be like, maybe this isn't a group conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So instead it's going to
Mm-hmm.
be, y'all got good pie around here? Is there after coffee? Like, is there a good pie shop?
And Peach is like, oh yeah, I know a place, and and you're thinking to yourself, you probably don't want, like, Peaches does not have information for you, right? Like,
No.
she's not the one. And Lulu's like, yeah, there's a diner, and she's like, just like a couple, and she's like, she kind of gestures with her hand, which makes you think that it's probably not that far. She's like, just a couple of buildings down. There's a nice diner. It's got good pie. It's open pretty late though, so if you're here late at night, you can go there. And she's like, I will go. Like Dixie and I will go there sometimes. They got good pie. They got good coffee. They're pretty late. They're up late. It kind of just depends on what the vibe's like. Sometimes, like, I mean, it's like you can see it from here. So sometimes you may not want to go if you've got a date that's still around that might be lurking. But to be honest, most of the dates don't lurk. It's just that one creeper. Most of the time, every once in a while people get a little rowdy, but our boys, they shoo them
Yeah.
up. So usually you're fine. Early is pretty good. The marks aren't around early if you want to go early for that place. Sometimes late, it depends. It's all right. Most of us, and then like Dixie makes a kind of like a teller. Most of us don't take our mocks to the diner, so I would not recommend it because we like it to be a little bit of our
Oh,
place.
this is more just for if I want to take Peaches out as a thank you. This isn't, and like maybe, well, not. I don't want to hint the thought of maybe afterwards because I think Lulu's got work on her mind. But
Mm-hmm.
like, this might be a fun to pump Dixie for information later.
Yeah. And then Dixie goes like that, like this little gesture, and Lulu's like, "Oh yeah, right." Like Dixie has not said a word, but like Lulu knows what she's thinking, and Dixie's like, "I suppose I should tell you about Dominic."
Please.
All right. Dominic works upstairs. He's Sal's son.
Oh God. Okay. Oh, this is Claudia. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep. He's like he's an accountant, maybe. He does the books. But he's I well you're gonna meet him because he can't stay in his office. He always comes down here, sees if he can like if one of us isn't busy, he asks, I mean, he's a little handsy, he's a little ridiculous. I'm just look out for him. You can manage him. He's and she says this to you when she says you can manage him. It's very clear that she thinks that you can manage him. That this is not like she's not saying that everyone can manage him, but she seems to respect you at this moment. She feels like he won't be a problem for you.
Okay. So I should make sure Peaches is safe right here because, like,
Yeah.
I think he's gonna be handsy in the bad ways. I think he's gonna think he owns the place. And all right. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
That is the sense. And they're like, he'll run more than his eyes over you. If he gets the chance. So you just, and he's like his dad's favorite, whatever. But once you see him, you'll know.
Yeah.
And like Dixie's like, because like clearly there's something on with him. And they're like still trying to think about what they can tell you and what they can think about.
He upstairs?
Yeah, he's upstairs. He usually like lurks up there in the office. But sometime in the evening, he's gonna come back down in the front room. It's so embarrassing.
Did he take a liking to Ellie?
And then there's that look again that sort of goes through the room. And Lulu says, no, he didn't.
Can I use one of my push tokens to get like who that was?
You don't even need the push token. You just need one. Because, hey, audience, in this game, we have, this is Cthulhu Confidential. It's part of the Gumshoe system, specially tailored for one player, one GM. And in this system that's just focused around investigation, you have two types of skills, investigative skills and then sort of general skills. And in this game, you automatically succeed in any kind of investigation skill you want to use as long as it's relevant. You just have to use it. So you don't have to roll to sort of do an oral history or reassure or any kind of, or like detect lies, assess honesty, or lock picking. Any kind of skills that you would use to get information automatically happens. You would need we have pushes, which you can see these little tokens there, which are vintage subway tokens from New York. Those pushes will allow you to get a special bonus, right? But you never need to use them to just get your basic information as long as you use the right skill. You do have to roll for things like fighting, but just to use your skills, you wouldn't have to. So tell me, what kind of skill would you like to use to try to draw out?
I think Flutter's been working pretty well of being like, I just yell, you two really know the ropes, and I don't want to step on any two toes, especially when this is going to be only a couple weeks. Not to, I can't learn what you all have in that amount of time.
And they nod. And there's this sort of sense of like, okay, there's clearly a conflict, right? Of do we share this information which if we shared it, we're not protecting over there, but if we don't share it, we're not protecting you. And this sort of moment that you sort of hit Lulu, she's like, all right, look, we can't confirm it. And there's like, and Dixie kind of rolls her eyes as if like, we can't confirm it, right? And
yeah.
Vera kind of leans in like, oh, this will be some interesting gossip. And like Shirley, because it looks like not everybody in the room knows whatever we're about to say. Shirley doesn't seem to want to pay attention to gossip, right? She says, well, look, there's a guy. He's real important in this place. And he's a good guy, right? And he's handsome. And you might like him. You might like him a lot. Tony, that's his name. And he, and then you start getting the sense that this is where things might be getting a little bit uncomfortable. He's important here. He's, I'd say, and like, she glances upstairs, which is shorthand for Dominic, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's, Tony is Sal's right hand in this place. Sal loves Tony. Tony, and there again, there's a weird vibe. Tony is, we don't ask questions, but in organizations like this, there are men who are, and like, again, like, how do you use the vocabulary? What do you say? There are men who are insiders, who are, they're loyal, they're insiders, they're proven, they're trusted, they get, you probably don't need to know about it, but I'm just going to say that Tony is one of these guys. He's a wise guy. He works for Sal. They're really tight. And like unspoken, tighter than tighter than Dominic is with his dad, right? And he's in charge of all the bounces. He's the head of security for this place. Okay. He's good looking. He's a good dancer. He's a sharp dresser. You should see his hair. He's like a dream. And he's also married to, and then Lulu just points to the door to Nora, who's singing on stage right now. And they've been married a long time. They're a package deal. They come together, one or the other. And she just kind of leans in a little bit more. Ellie and Tony, I'd say, you know, I'm going to say this. I know some of the guys are a little bit worried that this is like the second dame in like about a week and a half that's just not showing up for work anymore. Look, this kind of job, not a lot of people stick with it. Not everybody's got the talent. Some people, they try it out for a little bit and then they leave. And there's like, and she's kind of angled away from the women behind her, but you can see that there's a little bit of a gesture towards Shirley as a person that she does not think is going to last very long, right?
Shirley don't got the heart, has too much heart.
She's got too much heart for this.
Shirley's got too much heart for this.
Yeah. And she's like, look, not everybody's going to stick around. But Ellie looked like the kind of gal who would stick around. But so look, when Angela left, I wasn't surprised. You know, I'm not worried. I figured she just got a job somewhere else. Whatever. I don't care. I mean, it's people are a little bit nervous, but it could be fine. When Ellie left, she's not the kind of type that would just pick up and go, you know, because Ellie was actually here from the very beginning of the club. She was like one of the first women hired. Funny woman, though. Strange. But I think what happened was that I think Nora figured it out what happened, right, about the affair. There was a little bit of there was some tension, you know, And I think probably Nora got rid of her. Nora got her maybe fired. Although it's weird because and when she says it, although it's weird, it's almost as if Dixie was going to say that, right? Like Dixie,
Yeah, like
right,
it's
like
great.
yeah. It's weird though because nobody talked about her being fired at all. Just like she didn't come back. Maybe, and like Dixie nods, and she's like, maybe Nora drove her off. Maybe Nora sort of, threatened her, to leave or something.
It's good to. I'll take some advice. Stay away from Tony. I'm no home wrecker. I'm no club breaker downer.
Yeah. When we're giving you the advice to stay away from Tony, I'm just gonna say that Tony may not stay away from you. He's a bit of a flirt, so just be aware. And Vera, who's in the corner posing right dramatically, she says, "I will say this about Ellie. Her accent was very good. She did her accent was she was like how do you say like Marlene Dietrich. She did this sexy German accent very well. Um, she's very good at doing this. And if you notice, like Vera has got, it looks to you, you can't tell. She's got a kind of fairly large bag. And there's just a corner sticking out of her purse. It's one of those like clip ones where like you clip it. There's like it looks like a photograph, but you're thinking probably a headshot, right? She's probably got a headshot in her purse. I don't know.
Oh, she wants to. Yeah, no, I got this.
Yeah, like she's there. And so she's like, oh yes, this Ellie Knudsen, I think her name was. She does this sexy German thing very well. She was very good. So I think she just seduced this Tony. And then she kind of like poses a little bit to see if it like she get her lights well, and like that's just kind of like where she's at, and like Lulu's, yeah, she was like a German woman, she's kind of this German chick, art student or something. I don't know the details. She didn't share. I don't care.
I think with all this information I've gathered, I gotta mull this over. I think it's time to get out there. I think Vivian's gonna say her nice, like, thanks for talking. I think she's gonna pretend to look at her face. I think she brought like, I assume Vivian brought her big bag,
Yeah.
which has like notebook.
Yeah.
It's got probably a pack of cigarettes. She's not smoking because both her and O'Connor decided to try to not smoke. But like they both keep a pack of cigarettes still on their person. And I think she re-puts on her lipstick. I think she gets out a new piece of gum. I think she helps maybe Peaches a little bit by like smudging the rouge a little bit
because it's not smudged enough and it's a little yeah. And Peaches is a little awkward, you know what I mean, but she's sort of excited because this is kind of an exciting place for her, right?
Oh yeah.
And there's the private door that will take you into the club.
And I think after she like, she kind of like, she doesn't talk with other women in the world, but like, right, I'm Betty.
Yeah.
Kind of make sure that's over. And then I think Betty's gonna head out there.
You step through this private door and you walk into this nightclub. And it is not yet smoky because it is not full of people yet. Like that hasn't really started. You see that there's this place is, there's a lot of red velvet, like dark red velvet sort of on the walls. It's got a lot of dark wood, and all this darkness makes it seem fancier than it actually is, but it works. There's this big bandstand. You've got this band up there and they're practicing. And there's Nora, and Nora is a brunette with a sort of like a nice sort of Marcel wave. She's good looking. She's got freckles. And her brunette hair is a little bit reddish. It's kind of got a bit of a red tint to it. Blue eyes. She is pretty. And as you see her singing, she's practicing, and you're watching her a little bit, and she's stopping and sometimes correcting the band. They're all kind of young, right? They're a tad young. They look like people who don't have a lot of experience, and I will note the band is all white. So it's an all white band, so they look like maybe Italians, Jews, a lot of different sort of ethnic groups there, and they're like decent enough. This is very clearly a bar for white people with only there are like no black people working in this bar, so it's like a very kind of a different sort of space in that than a lot of the clubs.
Especially in Harlem.
Harlem is like full of like a lot of clubs with black people working with white tourists going, but it's kind of like it looks like a place where you would probably guess that tourists who are out of towners who maybe are sort of excited about kind of excitement but not too much excitement would sort of feel comfortable in a place like this.
Okay.
And you've got like 6 bouncers that are standing around. You've got this like bartender who's cleaning up. Everything's getting ready, and there is in the back, farthest away from the front door, there is, and like there's a hat check girl, there is these red velvet curtains that are disguising. They're kind of clearly like a doorway because you can see them parted, and you can see on the other side of these curtains, because they're not shut all the way, there's like a bit of a gap that's just large enough. You can see roulette tables.
Excellent. Like love.
You walk in and you can be like, oh, there's a casino here. Now I'm going to note that is not subtle. So probably this place has paid off the police is your take. And okay. You see 2 men talking. One guy is in his 40s, late 40s probably. Sort of big guy, heavy set, in a suit, comb over, dressed well, and he's talking to this young guy who's in his late 20s, about your age, and this guy is movie star handsome. He is wearing...
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. He's wearing a white suit that is impeccable with a black shirt and a white tie, and his hair. He has spent so much time on his hair. His hair is like pomaded. He's got a pompadour. It is like big. It is shiny. He's got some good sort of like pomade in there, and his shoes are white wingtips. And he's got this like long watch chain, and he is gorgeous. He's like Italian. He's got this like gorgeous Italian sort of wavy hair, and he's standing there, and those 2 are talking, and they see you walk out, and like Peaches is sort of like following a little bit behind you. And they see you, he smiles, the handsome guy, and the bigger guy smiles and nods, and they both approach you.
Okay, I want to, before this happens,
oh, yes.
I want to do a couple things. Mm-hmm. One, I do have my clutch with me.
Yes.
Which was inside the big bag, and my clutch has, I'm going to say that she has a necklace. If somebody asks, just a box of rocks. I think she's a small bag of rocks in there.
Sure.
Yep. Yeah, and I think she also has a couple cigarettes, lipstick, and I think she has like a couple pieces of paper. Now there's paper somewhere in here. To take notes, but I think Vivian's like ready.
Yeah.
I was going to ask if it is possible for, and maybe this is with O'Connor, to get a gun. For Vivian, because I think Vivian would have tried to get a gun after the stuff.
After what happened, I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Would you like a gun?
I think, you know what? I think it's the opposite. I think O'Connor said, here's a gun. And Vivian's like, I'm not bringing that with me. And that was one of the rifts that caused. I think that was like the biggest one because I think she's like, a gun would not stop those things.
Yeah.
So I think there's one, like, I think much like, you know, there's a rule that I really love in improv, and this is kind of a sand tangent, of when a gun is out, it has to be shot. Like, you cannot just hold it. And so I want there to be the concept of one in the space, but I don't want it to be in this scene. So
what happens is then, I assume what this means is that he gave you a gun. O'Connor gave you a gun.
It is,
and it's probably a gun that is not registered, that in case anything happens, you're not going to get in trouble for it.
Right.
And so you're telling me you didn't bring it with you tonight.
I didn't.
I just want to know in case.
I don't think Vivian in her mind said that this was a dangerous job.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't think she did. And I don't even think O'Connor knows she's doing this job.
Yeah. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
He doesn't know
I
about
just
it
wanted
yet.
to like kind of figure that one out
Oh,
of
you
like
can. Hey, you having a gun is only great for me. You can have a gun. You just didn't bring it with you today. It's
yeah.
fine.
And then so cigarette I think she's like I think Vivian is gonna like make a little bit more of like an aggressive stance. I think she's wearing heels that she can walk in.
Yeah.
I think she wore a couple of like rings and a little bit extra. I think they go low. I think the dress is tasteful, but and yeah, I think she's there to make the statement.
Yeah. And this guy, clearly Sal, right? Your boss, Sal Rossi. And he walks over to you, and the handsome guy is sort of leaning a little back. He's like sticking a little bit back. And he walks up to you. He sees you, looks you up and down. He goes, "Yeah, you look really good. It's nice to meet you, Betty Batson, right? Botson. Botson. Nice to meet you. Look, all right. Here's what you got.
Blows bubble while this conversation is happening. She just does it.
There's the casino back there. I want you to look," and he points specifically at each of the bouncers. Some of them are obvious bouncers, some of them are less obvious bouncers.
Love it.
Look at each of their faces. And then he like does this and they all look at you. Right? Anytime you got trouble, you look at them and they will take care of it. You go back out through that door and he pulls out, in his inside pocket, he pulls out an envelope. And that envelope is not empty. And he hands it over to you. Inside that envelope is cash. There's like $40 in cash, which is a lot of money. Like you can think of that $40 as being like $400.
Yeah, no, that's huge.
Yeah.
For just showing up.
And he goes, "This is not your money. This is for the gambling. You don't have to pay when you're gambling. You got it? You just use that money. Now, if you win big, you're not going to keep it, of course. But you just take this, you gamble, you lose, you get them to gamble with you. Anytime you need this kind of money, you come and you find us. We will take care of it. At the end of the night, however, you got to turn it all back in. See what I'm saying? Nobody robs from me." And when he says that, when he says nobody robs from me, you notice out of the corner of your eyes, two of the bouncers get a little weird, and you notice there's a kind of a tension in the room when he says nobody robs from me. You don't know what that is, but something happened and you don't know what it is. And actually, now that you notice it, there's kind of a weird vibe with the bouncers in general, that like you're not quite certain what's up. Like there's something's a little off. Like there's a little bit of a tension, like something is wrong perhaps, and you don't know what it is. And Sal goes, "All right, so no funny business in my club. There's your money. You're gonna check in at the end of the night. These are our bounces. I feel like Peaches told me you know the gigs, so you know what's up. You're gonna get your 5% because we're very generous here. The more they spend, the more you make. But let me introduce the gentleman you really gotta know. Tony." And the handsome guy walks over and he smiles this bright smile. His teeth are pearly white. And he sees you and he makes a little bow. And
Sure
he puts out his hand to you.
I think, you know what? Going with Betty is going to be the storm that Vivian attempts to be. And I think Betty takes it and shakes it like a gentleman would.
And he takes your hand, turns it, and then kisses your hand. And he doesn't let go of your hand at all. Instead, he pulls you into a dance hold. And oh yes, and he says, "I'm not going to let anybody make a fool of me or my club. gotta see what kind of goods you got. Let's dance.
Yeah. Okay. And Betty says, if you think you can lead, go ahead.
Ooh. And so he leads you onto the dance floor as the band is playing. And I'm going to need an athletics roll from you.
Cool. Okay.
To see how good your dancing is.
What is my numbers?
Your number is a 3.
Okay, and that's to pass.
That is to pass.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna roll that. I don't think I'm gonna need to push. I don't need Tony's approval. Maybe
1.
I do. Is it possible? I can't add any pushes or edge afterwards,
There
right?
There is no extra for you.
Okay.
So you go.
This is rough.
Yes, this is a setback rather than a hold. So you go out on the dance floor, and he pulls you on the dance floor. And I'm going to tell you something. He has got this cologne that is hot. Like, he's got this, like, he smells great. He is handsome. As he's holding you in his arms, you can tell that he is built. He's like all of that. You can tell he's the kind of guy that, like, everybody goes for. And as you're dancing on the floor with him, you notice that Nora stops singing. And if you notice her, she is looking at you with death daggers of deafness. So I'm going to ask you, in what way is your dancing not going to work out today? Like, what is it that makes you, like, this is about how well you dance, which I'm not saying then that you, like, fall over your you don't necessarily trip over your feet or anything like that. But this dance is not going to be impressive. And I want you to tell me why not and how.
So it's not impressive. And when I say impressive, who? To Nora, to Tony, to the bouncers?
Sal and Tony.
Okay, cool.
Right? People are looking at you to see if, because your job here is to, like, dance with a lot of dudes, right? So tell me, in what way is it not impressive and why not?
I think Vivian gets in trouble because she's continuously trying to talk.
Yeah.
So I think what happens is Vivian seeing Tony, knowing Tony,
knows one of them
is who they
very
are.
Well.
Yeah. Is going to start trying to pump for information, but doing it quietly, starts to fumble on her feet. I wouldn't say like trips, but I think she's not as quick when you change into certain moves.
Yeah.
I think she can hold the dance well. It's when you start doing the turns or being led around. Yeah. I think there's a little bit more of her trying to control, which could work for some guys. But I don't think it works for Tony. I think Tony likes to be the lead. Yeah,
you're trying to back lead. That causes it to be a little bit awkward, right? Like, I could imagine, you could tell me, but I could imagine that Vivian's actually a pretty good dancer, right?
I think so. I think she goes with her friend who's who is an architect, but only when she has to be.
Yeah, Stella. So I imagine you're a good dancer, but probably maybe the weirdness with Nora staring you daggers, you trying to get information from Tony, you backlegging a little bit, right? Like, it's just a little bit off, so you're not as graceful as you normally are, and it's not that impressive. But you're chatting with Tony on the dance floor and also trying to backlead, and he's like, you can tell it's getting awkward for him. He's a good dancer, but there's some tension about who's in charge of this dance here at the moment. And he's trying to, like, you're trying to pump him for information. He's trying to, like, take over this conversation from you. What do you say to him?
I think I try to get more information about the location, being like, Tony, how long you've been here? Like, what is your not clientele look like, but like how long you so starts with like the location. When I don't get information about the location, I go to like, tell me about Sal, what's your friendship? When that doesn't work, then I like hit off with Nora and like, so I heard you and Nora, and I think that's where like either Tony probably tries to turn her in a really weird way and Vivian's not ready.
And he'll like do a dip that's a little bit awkward because you are not ready for it. And like in a way to kind of like try to control the situation. And he pulls you back up and he's like, we don't have to talk about Nora. And like, she's right over there, by the way.
No, she probably can hear this.
And he tries to keep it low so that she can't hear, and he's like, you know, Ellie was kind of an older lady like you. I like older women. And let's note, he's probably 2 years younger than you. Like, I'm just gonna sort of
cool.
point
That's
that out.
Great.
Like, he's not that much younger. You know, I find older women like you really interesting. And like, it is like,
oh no,
Nora's just like right over there, and she is not happy. And like, she doesn't know what he's saying to you, but he doesn't. Right. She doesn't like it. She looks a little jealous. And he's like, you know, it's too bad that Ellie's gone because I bet you two would have been just like amazing.
I think Vivian it then goes kind of into this like, I don't really like Tony. I don't really like to share. And like
he looks flattered as if he's clearly taking this the wrong way. But
yeah, I don't really like to share, but and I think this is now where Vivian goes into trouble territory because Tony is a great story. And then you know, I think she starts to follow a little bit more, less pushy because she's starting to realize that's what Tony likes.
And now Sal's looking a little bit less nervous because he was a little bit worried about, you know, about your dancing ability, but you know, but now you seem to be settling down a little bit, so it's all right.
Yeah.
And Tony's flirting with you in front of his wife in an empty bar. I'm just gonna note it, right?
No, it's super weird because literally everyone's just watching.
Yes.
And Vivian,
like, this is your audition, and like his audition involves like, now I'm gonna flirt with you in front of everybody.
And I think Vivian starts to kind of like flirt back in that like, I need to get accepted here, but more of that like, I don't think you can handle this. Usually I like, and I think she actually goes with like, I usually like a whiskey and a cigarette, and maybe after a couple rounds, a cards, you can earn some talking time with me.
And he's like, oh. And you see he's got like a nice pinky ring. His clothes are expensive, right?
Yeah.
And you would probably guess, because you have streetwise, you're gonna probably guess that he's a made man, right? That like, you know, in the mob you've got two types of mobsters. You've got made men and then not made men. And in order to be a made man, you have to murder someone. And that means that you're going to be loyal to them, right? Because you will kill someone for them. But if you are a made man, you are important in the mob, right? Like, so, and clearly Sal's going to be a made man because this is his joint. But probably those are the only two made men in this club, which means they're really sort of mob-wise really important. Just right, sort of thinking about that. And he says, you know, maybe, and like, and it's this thing, like, because you're moving around the dance floor, because it's like a moving sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, as you're getting closer to his wife, he comes, and he just moves away, and she is like trying to sing, but it's like she's just stopping at moments.
Right.
And he says, you know, maybe sometime we could get to know each other better, because I love a dame who can play poker. Betty. And he just does a spin. He gives you a spin, a little bit out of nowhere, and then he sort of like stops, bows, and kisses your hand. And he gives you a wink.
Again, you got to beat me for it.
And he goes, maybe, and he kind of just glances at his wife, who's looking. Not today, but maybe a little later.
Yeah.
And he walks off, and he clearly goes to Sal, and he gives Sal a nod, like she'll do, like, right? And like he nods, and so Sal goes off, and the bar is going to slowly open with people coming in and the music playing, and you've got the bar sort of filling up at sort of space. And Nora's sort of singing because she's basically stuck on the bandstand like all night with a couple of breaks. And it's going to be the time for you to see if you can pick up a mark.
Oh, good. Let's do it. I think I just want to say my strat is I am an experienced woman. I've got stories, lots of stories about grisly murders. Not going to say how she knows about them. Lots of details about grisly murders. Tourism loves that. Tourists love learning. And
They
I
do.
think she's going to ask for like, I think she's gonna. I don't know if 1930s if shot competitions were things, but I think she's
Sure.
also gonna try like quarters,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
so it's more of like a
Sort of good time gal. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
You're not doing like the mysterious, glamorous one, but you're like, right, getting, and like, so I can imagine you've got probably maybe some sailors in who come in, right? Like some
yeah,
businessmen. So you've got like a pretty good crowd. There are very few women who are here who are not actually working here,
yeah.
right? And like maybe you sort of get some. I need from you a cool test.
Okay. I do have one dice and cool.
You need a
I
4.
I want to look at my character sheet real quick
Mm-hmm.
because I don't think I got anything that can help me out with this.
Mm-hmm.
I chose anything for the story, which
Mm-hmm.
does not
Mm-hmm.
help me with the flirt. Um,
But it's cool because this is actually, manipulation in a certain kind of a way, right?
yeah, and that
Yeah.
makes more sense. So
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna let's see if I can do it. I'm gonna roll
You just need a
1d6.
4.
Oh, just a 4.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing, I already rolled a 1, so it's
So
out
you,
of
you
the
got it out of your
way.
system.
Yeah.
A 1.
Never mind. No,
Okay.
I did not.
So
I did not.
so here's the thing. You are there. You're an experienced woman. You know what's going on. And there are a lot of folks around, and you are able to hook some people. But the thing is, it's just a bit slower. Do you know what I mean? Like it takes you a while to hook them. So like if you've got a whole evening worth of like drinks to pump from people, you don't get people like right away. It takes you a little while because you're a little bit new. People are going to people they already know, and like you get a mark. And he does spend money. He just doesn't spend a lot of money. And you would think to yourself, if this were if I had to rely on this for my income, I probably didn't have a great night. Like this is like, and this night is still young, but you're in there and you've got like, you catch some sailors, but they don't have a lot of money. And so like you're trying, but so there's like a bit of an awkwardness there.
I love chorus. I just putting out like they're really not into the murders. Like, hey, remember what here the time that I found like 16 hands in a suitcase?
And they're like,
like
oh, okay. And like some people are gonna go off to some other folks.
yeah.
But like you're not like, it's not miserable. It's just like not the best.
Yeah.
And I will say this before we go to break, because it's a bit of break moment.
Yeah.
You're there, got some sailors doing some shots, you're doing these things. Your shots are basically water, theirs are not. Like you got things going on. And you notice a look on Peaches' face. Like you just see her and you see her looking some other direction. And if you follow her gaze, you see a man walking in from the back. And this guy, he's wearing a white shirt, button-down shirt, with a tie. You see a little bit of a stain. It looks like perhaps tomato sauce of some sort on the white shirt. And the tie is a little askew. Everybody else has their hair done. I mean, nobody looks like Tony, but everybody else looks, and his hair is like kind of falling a little bit in front of his face in a way that is not done in the 1930s. His suit is a little rumpled, like it's not freshly pressed. And he's wearing these shoes that don't really match with the suit particularly well. He's got a pinky ring that's got this sort of big jewel on it, and he's like playing with it, and the way that he plays with it sort of casts reflections against the chandelier. And he walks in, and he looks a lot like Sal, and he is on the lookout for someone interesting. And Peaches rolls her eyes, and Lulu and Dixie are actually not even paying attention to him because they've got people.
They're so full.
They're
They're good.
But there he is. You know that's Dominic. You know it has to be Dominic. And he's looking around and he sees you.
Is this before? Am I trying to do? I like to think that if there was any sailors, which I don't know if there are, Vivian is playing the game of, oh, I could totally beat you in an arm wrestling contest,
Yes.
and is like but like
Yes.
is having people help her win. So there's like a little bit of a group, but no one's drinking. They're just having a good. That's also
Yes.
what's probably happening.
Yes.
Is like they're smoking, so they're not drinking.
Yes. They're smoking, not drinking. They're a little bit having a little bit too much fun with some of the stories, and then also they're sharing war stories with you, and then they're not drinking as much. And there's Marty, and he's got this ugly, loud tie that does not match, and he like slicks back his hair, then it falls back in front of his face, and you are the new girl, and he just strides right over to you.
Great.
And that's where we're gonna take our break.
That sounds so great.
And you know, if Tony is like super handsome, he is not.
Wait, is this Dominic or Marty?
Dominic. I'm sorry, not Marty. Dominic is the son, and Tony's the guy. And Dominic is, if Tony is handsome, Dominic is plain.
Can I give like what I think Dominic is?
Yes.
You know Marty McFly's dad in Back to the Future 1? Is that Dominic?
No, that's like the creeper who's hanging outside the bar.
Got it. Okay.
I want you to think of think Jersey Shore.
Okay.
Right? And think like one of the Jersey Shore guys that like what's his name? The guy that was like just you look kind of like, what are you doing here? Like you are like you're just like super plain and not particularly interesting, but you like have a lot of attitude that you're cool.
Yeah, I could point out which one that is.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like you're like, oh, thank you. What is Kiss knows exactly what I was talking about. This situation. Yes. What is Kiss? Thank you for being on my brainwave. He calls himself the situation, which makes you think he's badass, but he's not. You're just like, oh no. Wow, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool it a little bit and call me in 6 years.
Yeah, when you like, yeah. And so this guy, Dominic, walks right up to you with like his flirt on, and it is, you know, like you're like, oh, and he just walks up to you and he's like, hey, you're the new girl. I'm the boss's son.
I think Vivian is going to stand up. Is Dominic bigger than Vivian in her heels, or is Vivian a little bit taller?
You're taller.
Great.
Yes.
I love that. Love that. And I think Vivian is actually going to push his hair into a place, is going to straighten his tie, and then is going to say, I'm Betty, and then chews some gum and pops it. Like...
And now everybody in chat is singing the Cell Block Tango from Chicago. Because Pop, Cicero.
Yeah.
Krellin says, dude, if your line is, I'm the boss's son, realize you're a dork. Yeah, but that's his line. And right there, when you pop that gum in his face, and at this point in time, you know, basically everybody is down here on the floor or in the casino. You see Sal out talking to the bartender. Marty's here. All the bouncers are down here. So the upstairs is probably completely empty because Marty is down here and not up there. And as you pop your gum in his face, we're going to go to break. We're gonna have a short, like 10-minute break. We'll be back in 10. But before we go into break, let me just ask: is Marty your favorite? Sorry, not Marty. Pardon me. Is Dominic your favorite? Dominic is the guy, right? Boss's son, Dominic. He's your type.
So I think Betty is putting him over, if I'm using wrestling terms, because that's going to be good for her.
Yeah.
She needs to be in with the crowd.
Yeah.
And I think she's playing the, I'm experienced.
Yeah.
You're basically still learning how to flirt with women. Let me help you out. I think Vivian knows she has to stay away from Tony, because Vivian has wiles.
Yep.
And I think
and Tony saw them, and also Tony's wife saw him see them.
So I think it's really it's more Vivian's keeping herself locked down, and is going to mess with Dominic, because Dominic is probably going to let her see the upstairs.
Yeah. And that one setback you had in the dancing, part of that one setback was not that you were the worst dancer, but like, unfortunately, the flirting was a little bit too obvious for Nora.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
That's like, that was your setback there. That was like, oh, yeah. So everyone, we're going to go on a 10-minute break, and then we're going to come back, and then we're going to find out what happens when Vivian, disguised as Betty, decides what she's going to do with our boss's son of some sort, and other things that might happen later.
We'll see. We'll see how that goes.
That's it. So everyone, go drink some water, hydrate, stretch your legs, and we will be back in 10 minutes, everyone.
Have a good time. I can't wait to see what happens.
Oh, I'm so excited. I wish I had a fade out for that music. It's a little bit too abrupt, but I don't think there's a fade out option in OBS, everyone. Hi, welcome back. Welcome back, everyone. We are here. I want to say that we had some bits coming in, and I just want to know, I want you all to know that at the end of the session, I'm going to read out all of the messages from our tips and bits that come in. So thank you for that. And I just want to say thank you for the raiders so far, and also for the gift subs, everyone who's been supportive. Thank you very much. And so the second half of episode of part 1 of A Howling Fog. Our intrepid reporter, Vivian Sinclair, has gone undercover in a clip joint, posing as Betty Botson, a gum-smacking, bold, storytelling, shot-taking clip girl at a clip joint, which are basically bars that basically cheat people by overcharging them for alcohol. Is what that is. Run by the mob. Run by the mob. And she's gotten there, and it's been she's gotten to know the space. She's sort of feeling things out. She's learned that there have been 2 women who have just not shown up for work. One of whom was having an affair with Tony, the right-hand man, the head of security, who is married, and his wife works at the club, right there in your face. And Tony is also a little bit flirtatious with our Betty as well.
Little bit?
Maybe a lot bit. And we also let the bouncers have a kind of a weird vibe when it was mentioned that, like, when Sal said, like, nobody's gonna steal my money, then the bouncers were kind of, there's a weird vibe there. So something's going on in this club on that front as well. And we ended with Dominic, the boss's son, who you could think of as like the situation from the Jersey Shore, who thinks he's all of that, but is clearly not at all, who has walked up and, hey, Calvin Tony, who has walked up and tried to hit on Betty with the classic pickup line that works every time. Hey, I'm the boss's son. And that is where we went on break, and we are back. Curtain rises, and he's there, a little bit shorter than you, and looking like he's all of that, but also he's got like a sauce stain on his shirt, and you cleaned him up a little bit. And I will tell you, this is a thing that you will note. Nobody's really happy to see him down here because he makes the joint less classy. You know what I mean? Like this wants to seem like a nice nightclub, right? And here he is, and he doesn't. His shoes are a bit scuffed, and it's just like.
It makes the place seem like a second-class club joint.
Yes, it does. If this, like, I would, you're not a bouncer, but if you were a bouncer, you would not be allowed to dress this way if you worked here, right? You know what I mean? Like, this is one of the things where, like, nobody's dressed like this. He only gets to do this because I suppose he works upstairs most of the time, and also he's the boss's son. Yeah.
Like, all right, nepotism.
Yay, nepotism! And so there you are. And he's standing right in front of you, giving you this sort of awkward wink.
Mm-hmm. And a moment before, just to like kind of put that back in there, Betty fixed his hair.
Yep.
I don't know if it stayed there. Straightened his tie.
Mm-hmm.
Popped her gum.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Betty Botson.
Yeah, my dad said there was somebody new coming in. My dad,
I've met him.
Yeah, he's great. I'm the accountant. I take care of all the money. So you get paid because I do my job.
I get paid because I do my job. If you'd like, I think we can order you. Do you want a shot on your daddy's tab or your tab?
I just can get what I want here,
Oh, okay. Drinks are over there at the bar then.
Yeah. You want me to get you a drink?
Yeah. And I think she's playing like she's playing around,
Yep.
but I think she's just like trying to shut him down.
And you can tell that your approach is a slightly different one than he's used to, because most people, you can guess, right? You would guess that most people probably shut him down politely. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, I don't need this job. Like, I could be out.
You don't need this job, so you're just like, no, I'm going to shut you down, not politely.
So I think she's like, yeah, throw me something. You can be in the next round of quarters if it's open.
And so he goes off and he comes back with like two, I imagine what he's probably got is like, he would probably have something like 2 beers, right? Like,
cool.
Yeah.
Missing the entire concept.
Yeah. And he just sort of brings down 2 beers and he hands you one and he's like, so, Betty, I can call you Betty.
Sure you can. What's my name?
I know everything about this place. I know. Have you gotten a tour? I bet you haven't. Would you like a tour of this place? I can show you everywhere.
I think I do want a tour. I think she motions to the game that's in session right now. And like, it might be in between rounds where she could leave, but she's like, I got a couple more rounds. Why don't you, and I think she puts the beer back on his plate. Why don't you nurse those for me? And I'll come find you when I'm all done with this.
Well,
where are you? What?
Look, what I'm trying to say is that I'm really important and I know things and I could take you places. You have not, would you like to see my office? My office is like, nobody's allowed in there really. It's pretty special. It's also, it's not as loud as this place here. Down here it's so loud. We could be alone, we could talk.
I think this is where she's going to try to send him off with some flattery. Where she says, Dominic, and we both work at a very respectable place.
Yeah.
We'll get our jobs done. My job is to make sure all these people are having fun. We finish our games. How would it look? How would it sound if at your club, I just left halfway through a game? That's not respectable of these gentlemen, even though you are very important. I think she like brushes off the shoulder. Very important. So take a break, drink these. Is there a scruff? Is he well shaven?
No, he's not well shaven. It
All
looks like he probably shaved yesterday.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I think she's gonna like pinch his cheek and be like, go visit the restroom. Take a 10 in the restroom. I'll see you after that. Because I would love to see the very important office.
Oh, I mean, it's and then all of a sudden he gets this look of something occurs to him. Like, you don't know what it is, but all of a sudden there's like kind of like a, when it's kind of that the oh shit moment, and he's like, oh yeah, I gotta go to my office, and like he's like, I will see you, just come upstairs, just knock on the door, give me like 5-10 minutes, and then he takes both beers with him, and there's like a little bit of like, clearly he's forgotten something or something going on, right? That he realized.
No, upstairs he needs to keep an eye on. Cool. I got it.
And the sailors, you don't know what his panic was, but he realized, he was like, oh, actually, you're going to come to my office. Oh, wait. And then so he rushed up there with these 2 beers. He almost forgot them. And the sailor's like, Betty, come on back.
Yeah.
And
so
and I was just saying that like they're sort of rowdy and boisterous, and like there's like a couple of them there. Like there's probably like a crew of like maybe 4 or 5. And Peaches is there. She's like kind of sitting around, like trying to like do her thing, and she's like okay, like she's not like she's doing it for a little bit. She's okay.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Got a plan.
Yeah.
2-parter plan. 1, Betty is going to get boisterous and get Peaches to get a little bit boisterous, because I think Peaches can play games. I also think Peaches, like from our Newsies days, it's not making me assumption, knows how to cheat. I think there's I think after a couple shots, everyone else is not good, and she is going to start winning. And I think there's going to be a point, it's about like 6 or 7 minutes in, where Vivian's gonna be like, if Dominic comes to just tell Dominic to wait outside if he comes to find me. And I think Vivian's gonna step off, letting Peaches get her wage. And it's gonna kind of hide in the girl room.
Yep.
The setting up room,
Yep.
so that when Dominic comes out, she's gonna try to slip up to the office.
So now, of course, in this space, it's not particularly like you've got a door into that hallway, so you could hear, right?
Yeah.
If he's coming down or not, and so you're waiting in the dressing room, and you hear like some shuffling up there, right? And then it's not too long when you hear him sort of like jauntily run down the stairs, right? He seems very excited to find you, and you hear him pass by and go back out when and he is passed.
Great. I'm gonna book it up. Try not to be suspicious, because she already knows, hey, Dominic invited me up there. Definitely gonna put in her clutch, and in there I'm hoping to keep some kind of lockpick and a lighter.
Can I get a stealth from you?
I mean, you sure can.
I would love it. Your advance is 5. There is an extra problem available. Just in case.
Ooh. Can I take a problem?
You can. You can take it now, or you can wait until after you roll. It's up to you.
You know what? I'm gonna roll, and then if that doesn't work, I'm to take the problem.
Okay.
Like, that seems like a safe way to do it.
I'm ready. 3.
And there's one pass, but we don't know what that passing point is.
That's right. That is correct. It's just a 5 to advance, but you don't know what the setback number is.
Yeah.
So it might be good enough.
You know, I'm trusting that I'm gonna be good enough. Okay. I can't take. Jaded has been destroying me.
It has.
So.
Because you're a little jaded.
Yeah.
So you wait until you think that Marty has passed by. You slip by him, and there seems to be no one in the area. And I imagine you make your way up to that office?
Yeah, I do.
You notice the room next door that says private is a bit ajar. It also seems empty. But what you see in there is like some couches, card table. This is probably the break room for the fellas.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But
they wouldn't put them in this place.
Yeah, but they're all down there, downstairs.
Ooh. And I bet Dominic didn't go down, did he?
You heard him pass by. You heard Dominic pass by.
I'm gonna do 2 knocks on Dominic's door then. Just like a light 2 knocks. Not enough that like the people in the other room would hear, but just enough.
There's no answer.
I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna try to open that door.
It is locked.
All right. I got lockpicking, I think, don't I?
You do.
All right.
Which means you just get in easily.
Oh, do I have to use a push at all, or does it just pop it? Okay, great.
Because lockpicking is an investigative skill. It is loud outside. You're not gonna make any noise. There's nobody around at the moment. This should be very easy for you. Tell me how you do it.
I think there's no way she's going to be able to do it without looking at it. This is a skill she practices, but this isn't an everyday. So I think she just looks around really quick, kind of bends down, and I assume she has a hair in her hair, and tries to do it real quick. But kind of listening in to see if there's anyone at the stairs.
You don't hear anyone. It seems like everyone is down, and it seems like Marty is down here looking for you. You don't know how long he's going to be away, but he's currently not there. And you slip open the door into this office. This office looks remarkably clean. Well, that's not really true. That's actually not really true.
Horridly clean.
When you walk in, there's a closets. There's some closet doors on the side. Right in front of you, there's a desk, and the desk is actually pretty messy. It's got a lot of papers on it. And there's a table in the back that's got all of these rubber bands, just like kind of large rubber bands just strewn about, which it is a kind of a tall table, which for you says this is where they count the money.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
That
makes sense. That's not surprising.
Yeah. And it looks like fairly decent, but it's completely empty. There's like the desk, there's that table in the back, and there are these sort of closet doors, one of which is slightly ajar.
Is there drawers on the desk?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, desk, table, back door.
Desk, table, closet doors.
I'm gonna take a peek at those closet doors.
You go straight to the closet. Well, first off, you can probably guess what Marty was doing in those minutes when he left you. In the closet, besides a bunch of shirts, he's got a bunch of white shirts. There are some dirty dishes that seem to have been thrown in there.
Great.
Also, a shirt and ties. Like, it seems like he just threw a bunch of stuff that were probably just around the office, making it look kind of. And there's like a slight couch. There's also a couch in here. Just threw it into the closet.
That makes sense.
So you're like, oh, this place was probably looking way worse about 5 minutes ago.
Is there a clean shirt in there?
Yeah, he's got like a row of clean shirts. He's got like 5 or 6.
I'm gonna take one clean shirt and put it on the couch. That's gonna be my like, hey, I was looking around to see if we can like get you all spruced up.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna put that on the couch. And then I'm gonna like start looking through the desk.
Now, I imagine you'll be using evidence collection.
Yes, I think I'm just trying to look out to see if there's anything that's like, ooh, another scoop. And like, to be fair, Vivian knows if she follows this scoop up with another scoop, but like, is it worth it?
So using your evidence collection, we need to start back in the closet though.
Okay.
Because that's the first place where you went, and you're sort of trying to get out, with these.
Yeah,
your
I'm just like doing a perusing and then a new shirt to be like, oh, I was looking around for this.
And when you pull out that shirt, you notice, in the back of the closet, on the top corner, there's a switch. Like, you wouldn't notice it, but you were in there sort of trying to get like a, get this. There's like a little switch in the top corner of this, on the back wall of the closet. Like, not a light switch, but like a little lever.
Pull that lever.
So then you pull the lever, and there's a panel that pops out. It's like a paneled sort of closet, and one of these panels pops out like this is a hook catch that will sort of open up this. So one of these panels is actually a door.
Okay, there's a secret door in the closet back there.
There's a secret door in the closet. It's not super big. It's like,
Yeah. I don't got time to look back there. I want to.
There's a secret door.
Got time.
It's just opened up.
How big's the door?
It's not big. It's like like maybe 2 feet by 2 feet. It's like a little tiled panel.
Yeah. Okay, let's just keep going in.
I mean, you don't have to. You don't have to.
No, anything for a story. Anything for a story.
You creak open that secret panel, and inside you see stacks and stacks and stacks of cash.
Oh, that's not surprising. Of course you'd have hidden cash here.
A lot of cash. Probably so much cash that if some went missing, they probably wouldn't even notice. I need you to roll cool. It's a advance of a 4. Okay. So you get it. You not only you made it, you advanced, and that means if you advance, you get an edge.
Oh, thank goodness. Okay.
So this money is tempting.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's a lot. It
really is.
There's like a lot. It's probably more money you've seen in cash probably ever in your life. And there's a lot, and it's just in there. And like nobody.
That's a nice one.
Right? Like you could just take some, right? You could just take one stack, and that would set you up maybe for life. Who knows, right? I mean, like having that much money.
Yeah.
Tell me how you don't take it. Tell me about what goes on there.
I think she sees the money, and I think pardon my French.
Mm.
Vivian's like, shit. And I think she goes to take it, and then she's like, wait a second. Connor's told me about money.
Yeah.
There's numbers on this money. If this money gets traced at all, it's going back to me. And cannot have that. So I think it's not that Vivian doesn't want it. It's that she's like, and also she can't fit it in her purse. Like her clutch only's got rocks in it. So I think it's the fact that like they're gonna figure it out.
So will you read out your edge that you got?
Yeah, I got like a pro, and let me zoom in one more time. Like a pro, surrounded by a world you've never been part of. You keep your head in your focus. Spend for a +2 on a general or mental test.
That is correct. So that is nice.
Yeah, that's good. That's gonna be great.
So you go to the desk, you said.
Yeah, and I do want to point out, I want to make sure it closes. Yes. I want to make sure that lever's off. I want to even, I don't even know if I have like, if there's any part, you know what? I'm going to take one of his white shirts and just kind of like, yeah, just like clean off the fingerprints. And then
you don't need to be involved in that, right?
Yeah. And then I'm going to go to the desk.
So you go to the desk, and the top of it is just full of. Dominic is not well organized, is what I'm going to tell you. And he's got all these sort of like loose papers, and most of it is nothing particularly interesting, right? There's like nothing. It's like orders for alcohol. It's all fairly above board, like all the orders for alcohol and all that kind of stuff. But when you go through the drawer, which isn't locked, you see a ledger, an accounting book.
That's what I wanted to go for.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted.
And a lot of these places would have 2 books, right? Like a legitimate set of books and a fake set of books.
Yeah.
It looks like, though, there's only 1 set of books.
He's bad at his job.
He is bad at his job.
He doesn't have a fake book and a real book?
No, he just has this book.
I'm going to send O'Connor here. Like, I don't even know. This is bad. Okay.
Yeah. Do you have accounting? Because that's what you would need people to analyze this book.
I do have accounting.
Okay, all right. So you're looking at this set of books. There's only 1 book, and it seems to be, there are a lot of costs, right? It costs a lot to sort of do this, but when you look at the income, there's a lot of money coming in, like a lot. And they have got lists all the employees, all the people they're paying. None of you all are in those books at all, so you are not officially being paid in any way.
Sure.
The bouncers get paid about $200 a week. Tony gets paid $300, which is pretty good, actually.
That's actually underpaying Tony. Like, let's be real.
Yeah, it is underpaying Tony for all that he probably does. But it looks like that's pretty decent. It doesn't look like, looking at it, doesn't look like Sal is cheating people. You think that probably your guess is that although you're being promised 5%, because the women never see these books, it's entirely possible that you might be getting a little bit less, like maybe 4.5. But it looks pretty decent. And then you notice that at the end of each week, 50% of everything this club makes goes away. And it just says, to Lucky.
Lucky Luciano, who is the loan shark.
He's the head of the whole mob.
Right? Yeah. Okay.
He's the head of the whole thing. So he's taking 50% of this cut every week.
Oof. I mean, that's a lot.
That is a lot. You also are doing some analysis, and you're looking at like income, outgo, and everything is accounted for, except that's a lot of money in that secret room, and it does not seem to be reflected here. So it seems to you that perhaps someone is hiding some money away that is not being reflected in those books officially.
Which means 50% is not going to Lucy or Luciano.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
50% should be going, but some money is being hidden in that secret panel.
To be fair, it's like 47% now.
Yeah, it's only like 47%. Okay. Yeah, somebody's stealing money somewhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, I will say there's one other thing that you notice. And this is something you notice as you're you're trying to maybe put the ledger back.
Mm-hmm.
There's some notes stuck in the back of that drawer, like just like in the back. And these notes are slightly crumpled. So like different, like everything else is like a bit like, disheveled, but there are these crumpled notes in the back. And there are 3 of them.
I'm gonna listen downstairs. Do I hear anything?
Nope.
I'm gonna take a 1 out and look at it, because if it's good, I will get more. If it's bad, I will just not crumple and put it back.
It's a note. It's a handwritten note, and the handwriting looks jagged and rough.
Okay.
And it says, "Harlem belongs to the Irish. Get out, or we will get you out. You've been warned."
Okay. All right. Then the other 2 is other threatens. I get it. All right. I'm gonna crumple it up as similar as I can and put it back in the back.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to look at the other 2?
I just know it's gonna be threats from the same group. I think I'm gonna do. Is there anything else of importance in the drawer?
Mm-mm.
Because I don't. No.
Nothing important. Like it's just like bills, right? That kind of stuff, right?
Okay, I'll look at the second one.
The second one?
Yeah.
There are 3 total.
I know.
The second one says, "We took out the Mad Dog, and we can take you out too. This is the final warning."
Is Mad Dog another mob?
That would be a Streetwise.
I do have Streetwise.
You have to think about this a little bit, because the name sounds familiar, Mad Dog. If you're thinking of it's like actually an actual name rather than like, the Mad Dog, you're thinking, okay, hold on, let me think. There was a story a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You might have remembered it from some reporting. You weren't on this particular story, but you're a reporter.
Yeah.
There was an Irish mobster named Mad Dog Coll, Coll, and he was arrested and tried for murdering a child and injuring some children. It was, if you remember correctly, it's a while ago, a couple years ago, it was a mob hit. The word around town is he's an assassin for the Irish mob, right? Or he was. And that he was doing a hit, but he was somewhat sloppy, right? There's this whole thing like he was like he was called Mad Dog because he was particularly sloppy about his things, like very, very obvious. It was very obvious that he was involved in hits. Like it was he was not subtle. And there was some hit that you remember reading about where he was shooting somebody, but he was again not at all subtle or careful about who he was shooting. And in the process of shooting some mob guy, he injured some children and one kid got killed because he did it in daylight, in public, in front of people, in ways that are like also just really not, he was just very that kind of person. And the reason why it sticks out to you is because he got off, like he like charges were dropped, that like it was just like the charges were dropped, which was like that's
and I you know what, this is probably one of those that I actually talked to the person who did the news article and it was super weird and we both were like, that guy should be underground.
Yes, he should.
But they're saying that they got him off or that they murdered him.
Well, they said, "We took out the Mad Dog and we can take you out too."
Well, they didn't though. But did he die afterwards?
So you're thinking, did he die?
Yeah.
Did he die? And you're like, you think maybe this was not what you were following, but you think you remember something about. No, he was killed.
Okay.
He was killed, and he was killed in a drugstore in the middle of the day. He was shot.
Oh, okay.
He was just shot down, and you're like, oh, that's right. But there was something else about the story that you can't quite remember. There was something else. You remember that he was shot, he was assassinated, and there was something about who did it, but you don't like this again was not your beat, but you were like there was something like you'd have to probably check the newspaper morgue.
Okay,
to
I'm gonna
look in
put
on that one. But you remember there was something about like you remember he was assassinated, but like there was something about there was some kind of follow-up that you just didn't have, but you could check up, you could like do your research and get that no problem.
Give me the third note. Let's just do it. Let's pull the Band-Aid off. I'm hoping it's going to be about Ellie or...
You have got no business coming into this neighborhood. Leave or face the consequences. No one is outside our reach. No matter where you are, we can get you.
Oh. I think Vivian goes... literally to that note, like, okay, crumples it up and puts them all back. I'm assuming that was the first one. The first one I read was the second one, and this was the third one. Okay. Like, all right. Like Vivian's like, of course you're gonna say that. Because I assume actually Vivian has been threatened at one point.
Oh, I'm certain.
It's I'm not gonna say she tied to a chair, like had to listen to all of it. And it was probably terrifying at the time. And it was probably a long, 3 days. But now she's like, oh, okay. I thought there would be, I think Vivian's just like, this guy literally is nothing. Like, there's not enough. There is stealing. Like, he's gonna die. Does Sal work for the same mafia as, okay, because they're Italian mobsters, correct? And this is a predominantly Irish mob territory.
Yes, it is.
And so, but the note said Mad Dog died, which means the third mob is sending threats.
Or, well, the implication would be it's the Irish mob, but then that implication means that the Irish mob took out their own assassin, right? Which is a little bit weird. But so that's a little strange, right? You don't know what that necessarily would be about, because that seems a little bit odd. But it seems as if the Irish mob is threatening the Italian mob to get out, saying they killed their own assassin and they can kill you too. So it's a little weird. Also, like you probably would want to talk to maybe Joseph O'Connor about this, but like maybe to get a little bit more about what the mob situation is in this neighborhood. Like what are the politics of that
I think what I'm gonna do is should Vivian be the worst?
Probably.
I don't think so. I think what she's gonna do is she's gonna take, I'm assuming there's a piece of paper somewhere in there and a pen.
Oh yeah.
I think she has her personal handwriting, and I think she has her work handwriting that she uses when she wants to be anonymous.
Yeah.
And she's using her work handwriting, and it just like I think she's gonna write, make sure this money gets to the right place, and she's gonna take some time and put it on the stack of money. And then she's gonna close it. Oh shoot. This is actually really bad because I'm the only one who's been in there. I think she's then gonna put the shirt away. And she's gonna head out because Dominic didn't come find her, which means that part of the plan didn't work. But if he knows Vivian was there, then he's gonna know that's the one to put the money in. So I think that's what I'm gonna do.
So you leave.
He didn't show up.
On your way out, you hear voices in that room next door.
Okay.
They're a little muffled. But there's some kind of conversation happening. The question is, do you want to try to sneak over there and hear what they're saying? Or do you want to like just leave? What would you like to do? I'm just asking.
It is. It's just
dangling.
Like the story's over there. However, she did pretty much implicate that she was in that. Can I make sure it was locked when she left, so it feels locked on the way out? Okay, cool. That's sealed. Then I think she's still kind of a
not particularly heated, but some kind of tense conversation.
I'll listen in because now it's like, oh, I didn't get into that room. I thought you were going to be there, and I knocked and everything. Okay, cool.
Stealth 4.
Okay,
Mhm.
let's do it.
Mhm.
Let's do
Mhm.
it.
Mhm. One. Okay.
Do I drop my purse of rocks?
Um, no. So this is what happens. You sneak over there,
Sorry.
right? Like you sneak over towards there to listen in, and you hear this conversation. It's a little tense. You're not. You're up. You're like, what are they talking about? And you just hear something like, oh, yeah, Jimmy wouldn't run off. He's got a wife and kids. And like it sounds like one of the bouncers, maybe like sounds like the bouncers are up there. And like, yeah, but he's gone missing. So I'm sure what he did is he just stole the money. And they're like, yeah, no, but he wouldn't do that. Like, well, but that Ricky's missing too. And you hear that, right? Like that Jimmy wouldn't leave because he's got wife and kids. And like, well, but Ricky's missing. So, and you're hearing this, and all of a sudden, and this is where your one comes in.
Yeah.
You hear from behind you.
Is there someone behind me?
Yeah.
Who is it?
It's Dominic.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
And
I think that's the energy Vivian brings is that I think she like mimes as if she chopped her purse and she's like, Dominic, where have you been?
it's like, oh, and he pulls out like a bottle of champagne that he's got that he had like sitting in his pocket, his coat pocket, which makes his suit again terrible. He's like, and he then pulls out these two glasses and he's like,
That is very sweet. I did ask for shots. And I think she leans against the door to be like,
and he's like, what are you doing over there?
oh, I think she like kind of jangles her necklaces. I thought I lost one of my pieces, but I can't find it over here.
Oh.
And because she's shaking them, that you can't really see if like one of the fake gemstones popped out, one of those kind of things.
He looks at this bracelet of yours.
Mm-hmm.
It's a strange moment actually, because tell me more about your bracelet. I need more details about it.
Yeah, so I think it's like I don't think it's the most expensive jewelry. She wouldn't wear it on the job. I think it's one of those like starter pack jewelers that you buy when you're like got your first job. It's maybe a little bit out of date, but it's supposed to make a statement. And you'll have to forgive me because I don't know what kind of jewelry was kind of created in the 1920s, 1930s. But I think it's one that like, the piece goes here and it extends and it jangles when it moves. And I'm gonna make the assumption she lost a bead a long time ago, but it's like there. Like there's a missing spot.
Yeah. And when you jangle your bracelet, the guys in the room stop talking because clearly there's someone out there. And one of them just kind of like looks out and sees you talking to Dominic and then figures it's fine and then goes back into the room. But Dominic looks at this bracelet of yours with this kind of a weird look. Like you calling attention to it has made him think about something as he's holding this champagne, and there's kind of this weird look crosses his face, and then he goes, as if it sort of reminded him of something, and he's holding this sort of champagne in these two glasses, but something about the bracelet was a little bit weird for him.
Interesting.
He seemed to be reminded of something.
I don't think I'm gonna.
And he's like, "Oh, well, let me." And he holds out the champagne, the glasses to you.
Okay.
And then he starts fishing through his jacket for the keys so he can get into the office. Okay. As he's making you hold all this stuff.
Sure.
And he like unlocks the office door.
So, you've seen this kind of bracelet before, or?
Oh, and he opens the door into the office, and he looks proud that clearly he's hidden all the.
Oh, very good.
The dirty stuff, and then he takes it from you and he puts it on the desk, and he goes, "Well, no, but it's just a little bit weird to me that why do all you clip girls want to wear really weird bracelets?"
What do you mean? And like, I think she like sets it down as if this is gonna happen.
He's like, "Well, I mean, that bracelet that you're wearing, it's a little bit odd, but there was another girl who wore this really weird bracelet all the time."
Ellie?
Yeah. Yeah, it was her. Weird bracelet.
Weird as in didn't fit her wrist, or?
No, I don't know about things like that. he starts pouring champagne for you. It was like it looked ugly, weird. She said it was arty. It was like a lot of mirrors, all broken, and then like soldered together in weird angles. It was always really like, it would always flash in my face.
Oh, like your ring.
Oh no, but this is different. And like he brings it up, and it does make the ring makes these kind of weird flashes, right? Because it's like reflecting. It's like, no, but this is classy. Look, and he points it out to you, right?
I think she pauses and then she's like, Dominic, we're gonna have to have like a. You see me as an experienced woman with, and I think that touches her head up, and she's like, you are not ready for this.
Oh, I am. And he starts taking off his tie, but I will note he doesn't undo the whole thing because it's questionable whether he can actually tie the knot. So then he just like loosens it really a lot so he can take his tie off, and he throws it just somewhere random.
I think she's like, no, sweetie. I think she like points at the stain and she's like, let's get you a new shirt. And I think she goes to the closet
now
to get
he clearly thinks this is like, come on. And so he takes off his coat. He's very excited. He starts taking up his button-down shirt, and he's wearing like a like an undershirt that is not fresh. Yeah, no.
I think she opens the closet door, and I think she grabs the shirt. And as she grabs the shirt, you gotta wear some. She's like, "Oh, what's this back here?
Oh,
what's going on?"
No, and like all of he is panic, right? He's like, "Oh no, don't worry about it." And he just like swoops in, and he kind of just puts his arm around your waist and starts pushing you towards the door.
Okay. And I think Vivian's like, so change shirts.
Yes.
Listen when I ask for a shot of whiskey next time.
Right.
And I think in like, if we continue these little check-ins, you will be a respectable gentleman in no time. And I think she pushes his hair again as she leaves, like just to try get a new brand.
And he's
get a new
because the pomade's not working, and he's like leading you out because he does not need you anywhere near that closet. Like this is like, that's like a quick way to get you out of that office. And as he's taking you to the landing, you hear it. Screams. Loud screams. They are loud enough that you can hear them, and they do not seem to be coming from inside the club. They seem to be coming from outside, and that means you can hear them over the din and the sound of all of this club. Now you are up in the back, so like it's a little bit quieter, but there are screams coming from outside, and you can start hearing rustles as people start like, what's going on? And there are two men who burst out of that private room, the bodyguards, and you can see they're bursting out with a level of paranoia that says they're concerned about things.
Yeah.
One of them has a gun out, and the other one is like clearly has a gun underneath his jacket, but is not pulling it out just yet. And they run down the stairs to see what's going on. And there's a general sense of you can kind of hear a sense of chaos as sort of like continued screams are happening out front.
I think Vivian is going to like switch the grip of her purse so it's more within thwacking. And I think she's gonna follow those two people down the stairs, and I think she's gonna push Dominic towards the room. Get your gun.
And he's like, I don't have a gun. What? No,
but she's already gone.
And like Dominic's pushed back in his office, and he's not rushing to find out what's going on outside. Let's just say that.
No, I think I made poor choices thinking Dominic had any information I needed.
Well, you know, I mean, he might have some information you need, but I don't know if he'd know that he has it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he might have some. But, right, the two guys that we're talking about, these missing mobsters, just rush out and you sort of flow outside after them. And when you walk outside, you see it's the front of the bar, right in front of the lounge. And you see Nora, and she is out front, and she is on her knees, and she is screaming, and crying and freaking out.
Oh, this is a bummer.
Over a body. that's lying on the front, right in front of the club. Right in front of the club, there is a body. And you can't see the whole body yet. You just see like the lower half, and it's the white suit and the beautiful shoes. And she's obscuring the top half of the body, but there is, that is Tony lying on the ground. And some of the other girls have stepped outside and they're kind of freaking out. The bodyguards are coming out, and all of a sudden customers are like leaving. Customers are like, there's a dead body, they're going.
They're out.
There's like a mass exodus of the occupants. Customers are going. And then you've got all the bodyguards are out, and they either have guns out looking to see what's going on, or they've got their hands in their pockets ready to get a gun out. And there's just like, they could draw at any moment, and there's this body. Salah's not yet out, but he will probably be coming soon.
Is Peaches around?
She's around and she's kind of freaking out.
Okay, cool. Is she within like earshot?
Yes.
I think I'm gonna say, Peaches, find Dixie. Because wherever Dixie is, gonna be safe. Because I think Lulu's gonna be out and ready to punch.
Yes, she is.
Gonna be safe.
Yeah.
So I think she says, Peaches, find Lulu. And I think I'm gonna actually step towards Nora.
Mm-hmm.
And a little bit of evidence collection and a little bit of like, come on, Nora, you gotta go.
Yeah. You move towards Nora as a way to comfort her, but actually as a way to use her evidence collection.
Yeah.
And when you walk up, you can see his body. And his lips are pulled back in a silent scream. His eyes are wide. But that's not what you are thinking about for the most part. What you think about for the most part, what really strikes you, is that his head is not connected to his body. And you realize this because his head is turned in a way that a head would not be able to turn were it still attached. He has been decapitated.
Oh.
But that is not the only thing that you notice, because you're using evidence collection. You notice that there is almost no blood here at all. He has been decapitated. His head is separate from his body by like a good 3 inches, but there is no blood anywhere. Which says to you, either he was not killed here, but just dumped here, although he was in the club, so he couldn't have gone very far if he went anywhere. Or maybe they used some kind of a weird weapon or something. But because you're leaning down to help Nora, who's crying and freaking out, you notice something else. You notice that his neck is completely sealed, as if it was cauterized, or but like it's completely sealed over with flesh. Like it's like his neck is sealed over, and also there is a weird. So it's not like it was burned. It doesn't look like a burn. You don't.
Yeah.
It like that's weird, right? Like it's just okay. And you notice there's this strange, clear, slimy substance all over the neck and sort of running into the shirt. It's sort of thick, slimy, and there's sort of mucus-like substance on the ground. And it's like all over his neck area, and some of it is splashing his suit. But other than the neck thing, him looking freaked out, he looks completely, in all the slime, he looks completely fine.
Has Nora touched the body? Is she like shaking him?
She's sitting away and just kind of, she looks really in shock. She looks not good at all.
Oof. I am lucky I'm jaded, because I'm going to tie that in.
And you also notice the boys in the corner, right? You know, like the boys who loiter at the end of the street, sort of like also watching.
I think what she's gonna do is I'm assuming, is does Vivian have some sort of handkerchief on her?
I would think you would. You are.
I'm gonna assume that yes. I get to decide, I guess.
You do get to decide. If I'll tell you what, if it's a weird thing, I would make you roll preparedness, right? But handkerchief is. If you said, "Do I have a sledgehammer?" I'd be like, but handkerchief, yes.
I think Vivian is going to take out her handkerchief, is going to close his eyes with it, and then also smear up some gunk.
Yep.
Put that, and then say, "Come on, Nora," and then be like, "We gotta go. This isn't gonna help. Come on," and kind of try to lead her towards where, again, it's probably safe.
So as you are leading her away, there are a couple of things that sort of occur to you. One, the police have not shown up yet.
Yeah.
And this is a time period where you have beat cops who walk the street, and there's a beat cop for every neighborhood, and that beat cop has not shown up, which says to you, they were probably paid off. And as you're beginning to lead her away, you hear Sal. And you hear him, he's like, everybody get back in the club, it's fine, nothing to see here. He's like, you, grab some tablecloths, get the body in the back. And all of a sudden, right, the two of the bodyguards sort of rush out with tablecloths, and they cover Tony's body, and they pick up the body, and then one of them picks up the head, and they start moving in the back alley to sort of take it probably in the kitchen. So they're clearing the scene very quickly, and he is freaked out. He seems like they're all looking to see who did the hit, what's happening, what's going on. There's a sense of imminent violence. They're hiding the body real fast, moving out and back, and Sal's yelling at people, and he's trying to get people, but people have already left. He's trying to get people to sort of calm down, and the kids on the corner are arguing, and you're bringing in Nora into the club where it will be safe, and she is hysterical. She is crying, she's weeping, and she's just and she's angry, right? She's alternately sad, devastated, scared, freaked out, angry, and she's in that moment of this, and she's clearly in shock, and she's in that moment where she is just saying all of these things, and the things she's saying have been things she's this is Sal's fault. This is Sal's fault. If he would have just done something when Jimmy and Ricky had disappeared, then maybe Tony wouldn't have died. If Sal had taken security more seriously, Tony would be fine right now. This is Sal's fault. And then she stops, and then she's like, no, this is Tony's fault. This is Tony's fault. Why would he even want to work in this dump? I'm way better than this place. We could have been in a better place. We could have been a place where I could have better singing opportunities. But he always wanted to stay in this place with this Sal. This is his fault. This is his fault. We could have had so much more. We didn't have to be here. We didn't have to be in this place. We could have been at real clubs with real people. Why? Oh, I shouldn't even marry this man who couldn't have bigger ambition than staying with his friends in this stupid neighborhood. I didn't want to be in this neighborhood. Oh man, Tony's his fault for that stupid affair with that two-faced Ellie. And then she stops and she's like, that trash. I bet she did it the last time. And you're thinking, is she talking to me or not? You know what I mean? It's unclear. She's like, I knew it. It was her, because the last time I saw her, when I saw her with her tongue down his throat in that office, and I hit her so hard, and Tony kept me away. Why did Tony defend her? Why was he defending her? Did he love her? And then she said to me, that trash, she said that I better enjoy my man while I still have him. What do you mean? Maybe she killed him, or what if Sal killed him? What if Sal killed him? And then she's talking, and she's saying, what if Sal killed him? As you are entering her into the club, where Sal works, and she's not being quiet about this. And then she's like, well, what if Jimmy and Ricky killed him? And she's trying to figure out, to process what happened in any way that she can. And it's not subtle.
I think what she's gonna do is, I think Vivian's gonna snap at the bartender and say, bring something to the room, to my room. You put it on my time. And like, I think she's like, they're like, who are you? And
Yeah.
but you know, it'll happen. And I think she like, I don't. I think she's like, Nora, if you want to live, you gotta shut your trap right now. Let's get to the room. And I think it's one of those like tones that she's probably heard before, being like mob.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I think you're right about something, but room. Um,
And
and I
it's
could
that moment like
try to
you've got
use reassure, but
you're in a room full of mobsters
yeah,
who are on edge and like somebody really important just got murdered right in front of their club, and they're all on edge and she's talking too much.
mhm,
Here's the thing: wives are not supposed to talk. Like they're not supposed to advertise things, right?
mhm,
Not in public. That's one way to get yourself killed. And she's talking, and but as Krellin says, Ixnay on the conspiracy K, like no, none of this conspiracy stuff, right? And you give her this tone, and I am going to need reassurance
and
from you.
great. This ties into my character.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm jaded, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't think I can remove that, right?
What does it say? It says you have to spend 2, and then when you spend 2, you can get rid of jaded. That's what it says.
Great.
Yes.
I think I'm
Will you
gonna
read it
do
out for
that.
us because
Yeah.
our audience doesn't know what happened?
So jaded is one of our continuous problems from all the things that have happened, and
Mm-hmm.
so only someone with ice in her veins could hold her cool like that.
Mm-hmm.
Your next push for reassurance or inspiration costs double,
Yeah.
as your words taste like ash in your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Then discard this card. If you don't have 2 pushes, you can't push. So I
Mm-hmm.
have 4 right
Yeah.
now. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use 2 of my pushes,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to say, listen, you are better than this club, and we both know it. You can sing better than most clubs in this even area. So I'm going to tell you to lower your volume, talk it in the room, and then after that, when nobody's here, I know you got a key, go to the closet in the office, take as much money as you think you can, get out of here. Go to Chicago or go to, you know what? I bet you'd do great in Hollywood because you just spilled a little bit too much.
And you say that, spin your pushes,
Yeah, yeah,
and you can get rid of jaded.
cool. I'm gonna do all that.
Oh yes. And as you spend your pushes, you're talking to her, and you're talking in this really quiet tone, right? And
Mhm.
she's still kind of slightly hyperventilating, and like she wants to blame everyone. She wants to blame the tramp and the boss, and then also her husband, who she hates but then she loves, and like
Yeah,
and then as you just are very calm, and as you say that slowly, it starts dawning on her what you're saying. And as you're speaking, she looks around and she sees these bodyguards, not all of them, because some of them are carrying a body,
yeah,
into the back room, into the kitchen. And one of them is looking at her, like, like little Mo is sort of just like looking at her. And some of them are not paying attention because it's actually pretty chaotic and not
yeah.
everybody's paying attention. Sal clearly did not hear what she was saying because he's sort of running about. But she realizes in that moment, as you're speaking to her, where she is, as you're guiding her back to the dressing room. And then you mention the money, and then like she's like taking it in, like she's clearly still in a bit of a shock, but she's realizing what you're saying. And these tears are streaming down her face, and her mascara is everywhere. And she just sort of nods as you lead her into the dressing room. And in the dressing room, you have Lulu has her arms around Peaches, who's crying a little bit because she just saw a body. And Dixie is hovering around both of them, right, just to make sure everything is fine. Shirley is sitting there, pale and in shock, like she doesn't look like she's doing well, Shirley. And Vera is not there. She like, for all you know, she was probably out trying to get a mark and maybe was not sort of present at the time.
Yeah.
but she is not there. And there are a couple other women, and some women like clearly like there are a couple women that are packing up their stuff to leave. They're like, night's over, right? You know what I mean? Like, so people are sort of dissipating in certain ways, and you were there in the room with Nora.
Poof. I think Vivian guides Nora to a seat. See, hopefully that is away from the mirror.
She looks awful.
Yeah. They're bringing something for you. And then looks at Lulu and says, how's Dixie? Or sorry, how's Peaches? Peaches? Does Peaches need to get home? How are we?
Yeah, and like Peaches is upset. She's clearly upset, right?
Yeah.
But she's upset in that way where she's crying, so she's probably handling it better than Shirley is, who is silent. And Lulu's like, yeah, we should probably get the girls home. Dixie? And like, she like, Dixie, you take, and like, it's clear at this point she knows where a lot of them live, right? She knows where a lot of the girls live. And they, hey, Bonsai Baby, thank you for the raid. And she divides up like between her and Dixie. So they're going to sort of like herd these women and get them home. And you can see them start packing up as they start shepherding these women out of the dressing room. And the bartender walks in with like a heavy a whiskey and sort of brings in a glass of whiskey as these women start moving out because, Lulu is like, yeah, let's get them home.
I think she starts pouring shots for everyone. Vivian just starts pouring shots, like leaves one next to Nora, pours them out, gives one to Shirley, and like puts Shirley's hands around it. And then kind of whispers like, get out of here.
and Shirley like just takes with her hands shaking and she takes the whiskey and she drinks it with both hands. And she's like, yeah, I should get out of here.
And I think she also goes to like, I think eventually, because Vivian isn't great with people. Somehow she's handling it.
Yeah.
But starts to like think about it, be like, look, I'm gonna probably head out too. I don't think I mean, I'll take Peaches with me, but where's Vera?
And Lulu's like, oh, Vera went to go and get like her mark left. She went to go off and get another one. She knows she likes to travel out. She doesn't know what happened. I should probably leave a note or something so that she doesn't yeah. And so she starts like writing a note. She's like, I'll put it in the back door. Yeah. Yeah. And Nora just starts crying. And she's like drinking that whiskey and she's crying as Lulu and Dixie start sort of shepherding Shirley out. And Shirley's like, I should leave. I should leave this.
Again, Vivian's just gonna let Shirley do her thing. That's too much to handle. There's a sad story over there. And I think Vivian's gonna kind of hang close to Nora. Not like put her hand on Nora's shoulder, but just like be there and probably drink a little bit because my fear is that Vivian was nice once, but Nora could let everyone know that Vivian knew where the money was.
And you find yourself in the dressing room alone with Nora, as everyone else has been sort of shepherded out by your two mama hens, Lulu and Dixie. And she's sitting there, just now she's no longer angry. She's sad, right? Like that is where she's at now. She's now gone through anger and denial, and now she's just slumped. She's sort of slumped in the chair and shaking her head like she doesn't believe it.
Nora, you got family?
That's hard to. My family hasn't spoken to me since I married Tony.
Where do they live?
They live in an Italian neighborhood. Sorry, they live in an Irish neighborhood. I don't. They didn't want me marrying an Italian.
Um, they're probably not. I mean, they're probably happy about it now. As Vivian says, it's like chokes down. Like, uh, did you hear what I said before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said I'd need to leave.
I I think it's good for you to leave. I don't. You could live here, be an ex-mob's wife, continue singing here. Maybe they'll get hit next. Take the money, say goodbye to your folks, go to Hollywood.
I had a chance though. I had an opportunity. I thought I didn't want to give it up though.
What do you mean?
I was just so mad at Tony for never thinking bigger, trying to get out of this place, and he was cheating on me with that woman, that German woman, and I thought that I'd strike out on my own. I thought I would show him, and so I went down to the Cotton Club. That place is famous, and I asked if I could get a job there. The club owner, Mr. Oni Madden. He's big, and he wasn't interested in me at all. He wasn't interested. And I told him that I worked at the Fantasia Lounge and that I had a good job. I sang. I had experience. And then once I told him I worked at the Fantasia Lounge, he was really interested. I think he didn't think I had experience, but once I showed him that I really did, I had a job. I sing. I'm a professional. That's what I do. He was really interested, and he asked me a lot of questions about the lounge. Like he wanted to know, how many customers it had, who worked there. I think he wanted to know if it was a real place. That I wasn't some kind of tiny place. He was interested. But he said that I couldn't work at the Cotton Club because only colored performers worked there. So, but he said he had other ideas. He had ideas of ways I could be useful, that I could maybe help. He was really interested in Sal. He said I should talk to Frenchie Demange. It's worked for him. He was like a talent scout. Maybe was his. He worked at the club. He knew the jobs, and he asked me this question. He asked me this question about the Black Hand. He wanted to know if there was like a back door. He wanted to know everything about the place. I think like how many. I think it was because he wanted to know that I wasn't lying. I don't know, but he said that I could maybe get a job. But then he kept asking about the Black Hand. He kept asking about the Black Hand.
Can I use my streetwise to figure out if I know what that is?
You have Streetwise, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Streetwise will tell you this. So she doesn't seem to know what it is.
Okay.
Whatever that is. 'Cause she's like, he's asking. She doesn't seem to know. And you're thinking, you remember something. You don't have a lot of detail, but you remember. You might want to look it up in the paper more, but you remember it being some sort of maybe an Italian superstition, maybe. It was some kind of Italian organization, maybe from like 20, 30 years ago. You remember something. It was some kind of Italian thing. Some like crime ring, maybe. Like this is like you. This was like probably. Like when you were born, like it was like a little bit before you were born or when you were really young, and you yourself are not Italian, but you think it was some kind of like Italian superstition, or maybe it was a superstition. It was some kind of because especially earlier, people are now it's the 30s. People are still really ghettoized. Like Italians stay in Italian neighborhoods. They don't get to sort of move out, and Irish people stay in Irish neighborhoods. Like, you know, you've got some neighbors that have a little bit of mix, but people kind of stay in their space. And like one of the whole reason why there were mobs is because the police would not protect people in these neighborhoods, right? If you were Italian, you would not be protected by the police. They didn't come into the neighborhood. They didn't care. So a lot of the mobs that sort of founded were basically protection rackets. They would like protect the neighborhood because nobody else would protect the neighborhood. It's the same thing with the triads or all these places. And you think you heard something about some kind of old Italian superstition, maybe the Black Hand, something like that. But you'd probably have to maybe look it up. But you remember there was some kind of like something like that.
Okay.
And she's just, yeah, I just thought I had this. And if I leave, if I go to Hollywood, then I can't get a job with Mr. Madden.
Honey, how do you think that mob is going to take you going to another club?
Well, they don't care.
Think about that for a second and then say it again.
And then she starts getting mad again. Like, you can tell, like, she gets a little red in the face. It's like, they didn't care when Ricky and Jimmy went missing. Why would they care now? If I go to work at the club, what do they care what I do? They don't care about me. None of these people care about me. The only person that cared about me was Tony. And like, you can see she's getting mad again. Now she's like, probably going to start blaming people, right?
Nora, hate later, focus now. You have maybe 6 hours of freedom before you're like really looked over. Do you want to spend that yelling or you want to spend it figuring out what you're going to do?
But Tony Madden owns the biggest club. If I could get a job with him somewhere. I mean, he seemed interested.
Okay. May I use my bargain skills to
Yes.
try to negotiate with her? This is my bargain.
Yeah.
Listen, maybe you don't have to leave tonight, but you need to calm down. Stop yelling about mob things. Get a glass of water. Go home for the night. In the morning, talk to Sal. Float him the idea. And if he gets really angry, you got your answer. And then you steal the money and you go to Hollywood.
Listen. I'm going to tell you something. Because I think you're trying to help me, right?
Yeah.
You said something about money upstairs in the closet. Sal, just a couple days ago, this week, 2 of Tony's best friends went missing. They just went missing. And Sal's mad. He said that they probably stole money from him. But Tony told me that no money was missing. But Sal figured that would be the only reason why they just get up and go, right? That they must have just stolen some money and then left. And listen, I don't know how to say this, but Sal said that some money was missing. And you said there was money upstairs?
Yeah, in the closet. There's a switch or something. I was looking around trying to find a shirt for Dominic. It's awesome up there.
But if that's true, if there's money in the closet upstairs, that means Jimmy and Ricky didn't steal the money. That means that maybe Dominic did. So then what happened to Jimmy and Ricky? Where did they go? Jimmy never came home. He just never came home. Like, Tony's never going to come home. And Ricky was supposed to deliver something to Tony at the Fantasia Lounge. He was supposed to come here to the lounge and deliver something, and he never showed up. Tony's real. Sal just said it wasn't a big deal, that they just stole money and left. They ran away. That's what he said.
I think Sal knows more than he's letting on. And now my question to you, is your life worth finding that out?
No, I'd better go. You're right. You're right. I should. You know what? Forget Frankie DeMange. Forget Oni Madden. He wouldn't let me sing at the Cotton Club anyway. It'd be one of his smaller clubs. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go.
It's wise. And after this talk, don't take the money.
And she puts her hand on your hand. And she like squeezes your hand. She says, I have been so lonely. I live in an apartment building full of old Italian mob wives, and they never accepted me. They never talked to me. I have nobody. My parents won't talk to me because I'm married an Italian, and Tony's dead. Tony is dead. He would come home to me, and I can't be in that apartment. And she starts hyperventilating again, and she starts kind of freaking out a little bit again. And she's like gripping your hand as it's sort of hitting her that like maybe she's in danger, and also like she just lost her husband, and she's like, this is actually just not a good space that she's in. And she starts kind of being upset, and you notice that she's keeping her voice down lower though, right?
Good. So she's being smart about it.
She's being smart about it, but she's kind of freaking out. And then she hugs you.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then she just kind of like hugs you for a bit, and then she's still crying, and then she stops.
There's some pats, but it's Vivian's not used to this. She did this with like maybe a nephew, but like an adult, right?
Betty, you're one of the kindest people I've ever met. Thank you. I should see his body.
Only when you're ready.
And then she has this look of realization. And then you can see her turning red again. She's a little bit of a temper. They're not going to let me have his body, are they?
Not unless it's out that he died.
They're gonna dump his body in a trash dumpster, aren't they? And then she's getting a little bit louder. Like, I'm not gonna be able to bury my husband. They're gonna just take him away from me. And you can see that like she's getting worked up again.
It's not the body that matters. It's the thoughts and prayers you have.
And then she just like grabs your hand again. Betty. And she gets up, right? And she just starts packing herself up. And she steps out into the hallway. And in the hallway, there's all this activity all downstairs. In the kitchen. Sal's in the kitchen. He's yelling. He's yelling at Dominic, right? And the bodyguards there in the kitchen. And they're all in the kitchen, all of them. And you see Nora look in there, and you see her look, and you can see Tony's body on the kitchen table.
Oh.
And she looks at them, and they don't pay attention to her. And she walks up the stairs into Dominic's office. And and the office door is open because Dominic just kind of left to go downstairs, right?
Right.
In the panic. And she's up in there. And I don't know how long you wait, but she's not in there for very long. and you see her walking down the stairs, very calm, with tears, like the tear tracks, mascara smudged. And she's just holding her purse a little tighter. And she just looks at you. And she nods. And then she walks out the back.
I think Vivian stays there to make sure that nobody goes up those stairs. And then Vivian goes too. Vivian's gonna get the closest. I think she's gonna take the train like 2 stops away, out of this neighborhood. Calls her editor.
Before you
at
do,
home. Oh.
Before you do, that's 2 more steps. You walk out the back, and you hear something and you see something. You see what you hear. I'll tell you what you hear first. What you hear is arguing. The kids. They're arguing out down the alley, out the front of the club. You hear them arguing. You hear like a, nuh-uh, did not, did too. I saw it. I totally saw it. Some kind of like argument, like seeing it or not seeing it. And then that's what you hear, right? Off to your left. Because like there's this kind of back alley, right? Where they would sort of bring in supplies. And you hear these kids out front arguing about, one of the kids is saying that he saw something. And then out of the corner of your eye, at the end of the alley, you see a man standing in the alley. Thin. Tall. Glasses. Intense stare. This can only be Ellie's burned mark. And he is creeping in the alley. He's quite far from you. He's not close. He's near the end of the alley, but he's standing there watching who comes out the back door. And he looks at you as you walk out, and you hear these kids arguing up front. And that is where we're going to close it for today. There is a dead body. Tony's body's on the kitchen table with the mobsters arguing. There's a creeper in the corner, and these kids arguing up front. And Nora walks away with who knows how much money in her purse. That's where we're going to end it for today.
So,
oh,
how am I going to write an article if Vivian's dead?
I don't know. Well, hey, audience. Side note about the Cthulhu Confidential system. Because it's a 1-player, 1 GM show, the PC, the character, cannot die until the end of the adventure. They can certainly die. There are things that can happen that will kill you, but it won't happen until the very end. So, it's a possibility, but probably not right this second. However, if you get a lot of people mad at you. Yeah.
I mean, I think Vivian is much nicer in this particular episode than all of last series.
But only when you're Betty.
Only when I'm mean Betty.
And sometimes you're nicer, but I'm not certain you mean it.
No, I think Vivian says what he's like supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I'm excited because Vivian's like, nobody knows this mobster's dead, and now she's gonna report on it. But I'm gonna put that my sources were those kids. No, those kids are gonna die. There's gonna be a way that Vivian isn't caught. And then is gonna keep doing some digging because she's got a little bit of goop, and I think the
you have a scientist friend.
The shivers from the first time are gonna come back.
That's hitting you. You got some goop, and the wounds were sealed shut.
Yeah.
That's a little.
That's weird.
That's weird. And so as we sort of leave this, you have an editor you want to talk to. You've got some home to get through. You've got a weirdness, like where Sal thought that maybe money was being stolen by these mobsters who went missing, but it seems clear to you that actually Dominic was just stealing the money and not telling his dad about it. Like just Dominic was taking that money, so those mobsters went missing. We don't know why. We have got some kids who might have seen something. You've got a creeper in the alley who I don't know what he saw or
Who
what
has
he's doing.
seen me?
Who has seen you. And we have a murder, a very weird murder. Also, we have escalating threats from the Irish mob. We have Oni Madden being very interested in this club. Interested in Nora's singing.
Right. And then we also have the Black Hand.
And we have the Black Hand.
So
and
lots of leads.
We have a lot of leads to think about. And you've got some evidence, and you've got some time to figure out what you're going to do because it is the end of the night. This club is done. This club is finished for the evening. You've got some research you can do, and we will come back next Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on this channel for part 2 of A Howling Fog.
I was like, is that me? And I'm glad you finished it up.
So we're going to do this. We're going to read our tips and bit messages that have come in, and then we're going to do our outros. So I want to thank everyone who's given bits and tips. All of that helps support the show because I think it's important that people get paid for their labor. And then if they, that's important. So we have got, thank you for all the hosts who have come in and have hosted us. Thank you very much. AJ has resubbed with some Cthulhu Confidential Hype. And if you don't know Algernon for Bolden, AJ was playing Langston Wright, one of our other Cthulhu Confidential detectives, and we will have him back as well. When? I don't know. It's going to happen, but it will happen. Also, Best Kind of Worst, Marcus was playing Dex Raymond, who died in his adventure, because, again, you can die.
I think he just burnt it all, right? He was like...
he burned it all. He's like, oh, no. In case you want to know, in this game, if you do something that could potentially get you killed, you'll get a card, one of these cards that you have that you can see down here, and it will be a fatal problem card, like bleeding out, something like that. And what happens? You have a choice. You can take care of that by going to the doctor, doing something that will take care of that problem. But if you do that, then you can't do other things. But if you end the game and you have that card still, then you die. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
And he was bleeding out, and he had a choice. He could leave at the very end. He could leave and go to the hospital and not die, but all the bad guys would get away, or he could stay and take care of the bad guys, and he set everything on fire, and he died. But he saved a bunch of people from bad guys.
Pretty great.
Yeah, but we're gonna make a new investigator for him, and we're gonna get him back. Just know it. So we have some loves from Devil Crayon. Thank you. Back at you. And I want to thank Chromatic Chameleon for the gift subs. I want to thank AJ for the gift subs. We also have Kira858, who's amazing, said, gotta support this incredible show. Thank you for that support. Kira is pretty awesome, by the way. Kira does art and is doing comic books, and you should, Kira858, he's cool. We also have Hawkeye, who said, he's from Bit, saying, how noir can you noir? I feel like we can noir.
Pretty noir.
We can noir. Rissa gives us some bits and says, time to turn Vivian's luck around. Those bits were to help your die rolls?
They did. Mm-hmm. I got 3 1s and 1 5, and I needed it.
Yes. Raina Terra, thank you for the $10. That donation, that tip will be useful for all of this. And those are our tips and bits. And so I'm going to have our outro. Please, all the bestest. Jackie Dash. Give us all of your, give us your thoughts and give us your outro.
Yeah, I'm very excited to be in this world again. Mysteries are something that I really got into with Scooby-Doo. Mm-hmm. I took a lot of pauses, and so I'm super excited to jump back in the world of mysteries, where unlike with a mystery book where you're like, I want to actually investigate this, I get to choose. Yeah. It's really, really exciting to be a part of that game. So thank you so much for inviting me to play again.
Could you do your thing?
Yeah, so I'm Jackie Dash, JAKIDASH.
That's
you
really
can
all I wanted.
No, it's great. Oh, no, I was going to give you the opportunity. I just wanted to appreciate it first. You can find me Monday Fun Days. I stream around 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, so 10 p.m. Eastern. And I'm playing long form games. And right now I'm playing super edgy DMC : Devil May Cry, the remake of Devil May Cry that they threw out, and they went back to the original Devil May Cry, and I absolutely love it, and nobody else does. So if
Why
you want
not?
to see, um, Devil May Cry is considered one of those like do not touch precious materials, and I only like the remake because the remake's like we don't need that. We have the aughts version, so he's just weird.
But they
You
all
know,
have good coats and they all have floppy hair, right?
yeah. And what I like about it is it this game came out around the time where the situation, pulling that back, was kind of popular. So they had this weird like, nah, he's super cool and he sometimes says bad words. But I love it because the political commentary about how we as humans are controlled by media and energy drinks is all tied to that. And so I really appreciate the lore. So I'm really excited to get back into there and platform badly and kick a demon butt.
And also Shattered Sky.
Shattered Sky.
And that is you can get that where you get podcasts.
Yes. So it comes out every other week, and I think we're dropping one soon. We had to take a pause because how do you record when the world's on the stated as it is? So we did some work, and that should be picking up soon. I'm very excited about it. So if you enjoy Vivian but want to get even worse, check out Shattered Sky.
Excellent. And go check her out on Monday Fun Days because they're fun. Also, you can get punches in the throats, right? You can get punch.
You can get punch. I personally, because originally Claudia Colt, very, very related to what we're doing. I like, you can get the BT, you can get the pink drink, which is my favorite. It's an energy supplement. Or, bring any kind of liquid you want, including throat punch.
Throat punch. It's like regular punch, but it's a throat punch.
Yeah, it kicks you in the throat, which is very ironic because it's called throat punch.
Yeah, it's not a throat kick. And then I'm Trooper SJP, and here's my channel, and you can find me here. I stream Thursdays at 6 Eastern, and Saturdays at noon Eastern, playing video games. And then for August, Sundays, you will find me here, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific with Jackie Dash for Cthulhu Confidential, and it'll probably be like 3 sessions probably of some Cthulhu
I think
Confidential.
so.
Yeah.
I'm going to dig a little bit in, and that's going to take some time.
Yeah, and then, I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure whatever it was a misunderstanding, and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, will be great.
This is great because I don't know much about Cthulhu. Like I've played the games, Mansion of Madness, all this. But I'm still thinking like, man, it's probably just a giant weird caterpillar.
Yeah.
Like that's probably it. It's gonna be fine.
It's fine. Like a friendly caterpillar.
Yeah.
People, whatever.
The kind that smokes pot on a flower in the middle of a garden. Like sometimes tells you math problems. Totally great.
And then also on Fridays at 1 p.m. over at Laugh Love Lindy, you can find me in Aether's Walkway, which is another Cypher System game.
I love it.
And pretty soon I'll be back on The Witcher Wednesday nights at
What
8.
world are you in right now in the Cypher?
Oh, it's a creation by White Rabbit Pick Alice, who's the GM. It's a sort of a sci-fi cyberpunk sort of a game, and I am playing Livewire, who is a dystopian IRL streamer. So I'm like a streamer, except that I stream from my eyes, and I can never turn it. Well, I can't really control it. I mean, I can go to break screen, but it's just like always streaming all the time, just always, wherever you go.
I bet that's super great for crime.
Yes. Oh, and I should say, but yeah, it's like I have to go to break screen when crime's happening because you're like that's bad. Break screen.
Yeah.
And then Rissa notes, because Rissa is my excellent one of my excellent mods. You can find me at Discord. Join us in Discord. It's excellent. Twitter, Academic Foxhole. YouTube, Trooper SJP. Patreon, Academic Foxhole. The Patreon is to go and support the shows here, and especially. Coming up in September on Friday evenings, starting the first week of September, first Friday of September, will be season 2 of City of Light and Shadow, which is a French resistance campaign, and using the Fate system. And I'm going to say this, although I think Marcus probably has forgotten, and I haven't spoken to him about it recently, but just in case somebody cannot be there. He said he'd be my ringer for me. That if somebody's going to be missing for a couple of weeks or whatever, and we need to pull in somebody, he said he'd be my ringer for me. So like we've got a best kind of worst in the background in case somebody, you know.
You got some dream team love coming in here.
Yeah,
Pretty hot this summer.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully nobody will be murdered in a terrible way in that campaign, but you don't know.
Awful.
You don't know.
And also big shout out to Best Kind of Worst Marcus for making all the gifts that we've been using. And that was work of a genius, honestly, to get this mug into noir style.
Have you seen the gifts? Those gifts are Best Kind of Worst. They're amazing. And the one that the one I tweeted out today with the really cool, great sort of scrolling up, so good. Mm-hmm. If anybody wants really cool gifts, talk to Best Kind of Worst. Best Kind of Worst is awesome. And with that said,
cannot wait for next week.
Me neither. I'm excited. So everyone, take care of yourselves. Drink, hydrate, and I'm just gonna say, encourage your friends to steal money from the mob. I'm sure that'll work out for them really well.
Right. You know what though? Like again, it's not gonna be on Nora's head; it's on Dominic's head. And you know what? He needs to learn how to take care of himself. Honestly.
All right. Take care, everyone. Catch the credits. Bye.
Bye.